Josh Moody with the God-Centered Minute.
Preachers are preaching the Word of Christ, the Word of God. And the authority of Christ will shine through such preaching as we bring out the Word of Christ. That's why in our interpretation of Scripture, rather than solely relying on other human views and interpretations, we always interpret Scripture with Scripture. Yes, listening to the great masters of the past, the Augustines and the Anselms and the Spurgeons and all the rest, and the contemporary great teachers today, listening and learning, but always the authority of Scripture, interpreting Scripture so the divine author of Scripture and his voice is heard and felt.
For more, go to godcenteredlife.org.
This is FEBC Today with Ed Cannon, the president of the Far East Broadcasting Company. Ed, we are thrilled that the gospel is proclaimed by FEBC in Cambodia.
Halfway around the world, Wayne, here's a poor man who listens to the radio every day and really appreciates the fact that he's got radio. Let's try and learn today from that man to appreciate the blessing we've got through Christian radio.
I listen to the radio every day. For me, the Word of God is like honey. My son, who studied in Phnom Penh, told me about Jesus, and he gave me the Bible to read. So I didn't understand everything. My heart was so happy to accept him as my Savior. FEBC Family Radio Station has blessed me, and I encourage my church members to listen too. I want people to believe in God.
Psalm 19, verse 10 says, "The ordinances of the Lord are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey." This listener said, "The Word of God is like honey to me." And he encourages everyone he knows to listen to the radio. He listens every day. Do you listen every day? Can you learn from this man that the Lord's words are sweeter than honey, and that it's our responsibility to share that with others, to encourage them to listen to these radio stations that you're privileged to have? Pray for this man in Cambodia that he's successful at encouraging others to go to the radio and hear the Lord's word.
Yes, thank you for your prayers for Cambodia as the gospel is proclaimed by the Far East Broadcasting Company. Learn more about the work of FEBC taking Christ to the world through radio and new media. Visit febc.org for more stories and video. Again, febc.org.
It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. WCRF, Cleveland. WVMS, Sandusky. WVML, Millersburg. WVMN, Newcastle. WVME, Meadville. WVMU, Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The Papal Conclave took 2 days to select Cardinal Roberto Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Church historians say Prevost must have quickly impressed his fellow cardinals during the secretive process. While Prevost hails from America, the fact that he spent 20 years in Peru suggests the cardinal saw him as a pope for the world. Days after Bay High School lacrosse player Dylan Veselak sustained a head injury, the sophomore has died. Bay was taking on Olmsted Falls Tuesday night when Veselak was injured. He had been hospitalized since that incident and died yesterday. And in Carroll County, grand jurors are indicting the treasurer of the Carrollton Exempted Village School District. Amy Spears is charged with theft in office and tampering with records. In sports, the Cavaliers tip off against the Pacers in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals tonight, trailing the best-of-7 series 0-2. The Browns and Steelers both kick off their rookie minicamps today. And the Pirates have fired manager Derek Shelton. Bench coach Don Kelly is going to take over the managerial duties. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Sunny skies today, high temperatures in the upper 50s. I was going to say just in the upper 50s, but that's better than what it could be. Right now, clear skies, 43 degrees in Cleveland. Akron and Canton, clear and 39. And we do have some clouds in the Mansfield area where it's 41 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
The National Association of Letter Carriers is holding their annual Stamp Out Hunger food drive this month. Postal workers will be collecting donations of non-perishable food items. Those who would like to contribute are asked to place a sturdy bag containing shelf-stable foods near their mailbox before the mail runs on Saturday. Collections go to local outreaches like the Haven of Rest in Akron and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:02 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's Friday. We've made it to the weekend, kinda. It's like just before it, I guess.
Yeah.
Woo! Friday. Did you like that sound, Lauren?
Not really.
Woo!
You don't have to do it again.
And we've been trying to arrange a very special Friday guest for a long time. But
Yes.
she's busy, she's hip, she's happening, she's got a lot going on. But with the stars have aligned, the Holy Spirit has made things happen. So here we go, in the flesh, all Friday, Erica Kurcsak.
Good morning.
Yay!
Wow, thanks. It's quite the intro.
She's been a guest a number of times for the ministry Grace and Beauty out of Maranatha Bible Church in Akron, where you serve on the worship team. Your husband is the missions pastor.
Mm-hmm.
So I notice I'm not saying pastor's wife. Because that's like it's not really a job.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How do you feel about that label? Are you fine? Or
Well, I'm a pastor's kid, so it doesn't really faze me.
It's been following you.
Yeah.
I forgot about. So you're all the things.
I'm all the things. Yeah.
And you thought it was hard being a pastor's kid, Lauren.
I've never said that in my life.
Well, I just kind of inferred.
I think you thought that, Brian.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But wow, pastor's kid, pastor's wife, all the things. And for those who don't know you, we have to do more of an introduction because I like to brag about you and you're too humble. So I talk about how brilliant you are.
So true.
And you're like, oh, stop saying all that. So do this for me. This is for me. Remind us of your credentials. Because when people hear pastor's wife, sometimes they're like, oh, sweet, she just knits. You know.
For the record, I do not know how to knit.
Do you crochet?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Any type of needle.
Cross stitch?
I
needle
tried.
craft.
I tried crochet. It was a failure.
Yeah, I think it's in right now to try that stuff.
Well, that was a long time ago that I tried that.
Sarah just tried knitting. She was like, crocheting's not for me. Let me try knitting. And she was like, I don't know. But anyway, remind us of your credentials.
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree from Cedarville University in counseling and a master's degree in biblical counseling from Westminster Theological Seminary.
So when you listen, you're like, there it is, and another disorder.
There they are.
And also, for those familiar with the counseling world, I was like, this is the coolest person I know. And I found out you studied directly with Paul David Tripp for a while.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Who's one of the leading Christian psychologists alive today. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you say? Is that a dramatic Brian statement?
No,
or is that
I don't
true?
think so. I don't think so. Yeah. Several classes with him. I actually had like a counseling observation class with him where I got to watch him counsel like through the two-way mirror thing.
Was it cool?
Yeah.
Was it like a big problem a person had or like a little one?
Let me break it down for you.
Let me actually tell you this person's problem.
Yeah, there were a couple different people.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool is I didn't know you could do that. But I suppose it was by consent, right?
Yes.
That people knew there were students
Yes.
watching.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like when you go to the doctor. Do you mind if I have a student come in
Student
here?
doctor come in?
Yeah, what are you supposed to say?
Sure, I guess.
Bring them all in.
Yes,
Let's go.
come on in.
My wife had that when she was giving birth.
Yes.
And I think they waited on purpose to ask her at the point where you just don't care anymore.
You don't even know anyone's speaking to you anymore.
She's like, yeah, fine, whatever. Yeah. So, wow. Erica Kurcsak, that's awesome. She is so cool.
Thanks, Brian.
No, I'm so excited to have you here. You're also a homeschool mom.
Yes.
Of 4 children.
Yes.
Can you remind us of the ages for those who don't know you yet?
Yeah, they're ages 7 through 12, so almost 13. So it's first grade,
I'm
third
sure she
grade,
reminds
fifth
you
grade.
that she's almost 13 all the time.
Yes, and 7th grade. Yeah.
7th grade. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, 7th grade is the year you turn 13, so she's a young 7th grader, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's not quite 13 yet?
Right. Yeah, a couple weeks.
And is she excited about the I'm a teenager now phase?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My son, Matthias, who just turned 13. It's like all he could talk about for about 2 to 3 years prior to that.
Leading up to it.
And, basically a teenager. And we're like, no, actually not. And
I
now
don't know
he's
where
like,
he got that from, Brian.
I don't know. I wonder where, really. Yeah. So if you've got really any issues at all in life or church, Erica Kurcsak has the answer.
That's right.
Wow.
There it is.
No pressure.
It's
Life, church, or your home.
Right. Yeah, because homeschooling is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done it now for all the kids all these years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this finishing up our 8th year. So.
8th year. Wow. And your husband's a missions pastor. Should we say anything about? I haven't said it yet, but I have a name for him, but I won't say it yet because he'll get too embarrassed and mad at me. But he just got his doctorate.
Yeah.
So you're like the
It's a big
smart
deal.
couple. You're like the genius couple. It's like a superhero team or something. Look at this.
Wow.
I love it. Okay. It's Follow-Up Friday, 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255. Your chance to submit a topic you want to talk about.
Yes.
We have a counselor here, a pastor's kid, pastor's wife, worship leader. I mean, I don't have time to go through them all. And then the rest of us are here too. 440-546-2255. Before we get to anything else, I have a couple of things I want to talk about today. But we did go to the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast yesterday. And boy, did we have a great time with our listeners who showed up to hang out with us.
Yes.
That was so fun. A couple of guys I was sitting right by, they drove an hour and a half to get there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Larry and Peter.
Yeah, it was awesome. They live further away than I do. But we had a great time talking about our region of the country. And so they're like over by the Youngstown area.
Our region.
No, I mean, it feels like our region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's surprising that they're still in the continental U.S. They're so far away.
I regularly have people I say, oh, yeah, I live in the Garrettsville area. They're like, huh, where's that? And they're from Ohio. So what are you going to do? So what did you guys think of the big event yesterday?
Oh, it was great. Jeff Strucker was amazing. I mean, there are just no words to describe how captivating he was. Everyone was just kind of on the edge of their seat. Amazing testimony. We met some great people at our table too. So Ron and I were seated with someone who actually texted in a couple months ago. I don't know if you remember this guy. Said, "Hey, I'm a felon and I've lost a couple jobs because of that." And so we shared that, and you're like, "Oh, we're so sorry to hear that." He was able to share with us at the table that he recently got a job that helps support former convicts
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
rehabilitates them.
I got a chance to chat with him a little bit too. What a great guy.
Yeah.
And his story, incredible.
Yes.
He said, and I'm sure he'd be, well, I guess I don't know if he'd be okay, so I'm not going to share it, but he's a great guy. So if you're listening, buddy, sorry I forgot your name.
Aaron.
Aaron, who are you again? I don't remember anyone's name. So that was awesome. Yeah, and Jeff Strucker, right? Is that how you say
Yes.
it? So for those who don't know, he was the keynote speaker. He was an Army Ranger. He's in the Army Ranger Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know there was one.
You got to be pretty impressive to make a Hall of Fame out of
If
people
anything.
who are all better than us.
Yeah, right.
Except the rest of those regular loser Army Rangers, you know.
They
And
can't do anything.
he ultimately, his faith was really got a jump start in his life in the middle of the Battle of Mogadishu. Is how I would put it. He got saved younger, I think, but
Yes,
13.
But really, faith came into his own in the middle of the Battle of Mogadishu.
What did he say? He was like 24, 26?
Something like that.
It said he had a wife. He had just found out that she was expecting their first child, and lost a teammate. Was literally cleaning out the van after this, and just prayed, and such a peace came over him that other people were like, "Yeah, you were in the middle of the battle." I mean, like really bad firefight that he was describing, and people said he was just so at peace. Or like, "What's different? How can I get that?"
Yeah. And he was in the invasion of Panama. He did like 9 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He did. Where else was he? There's a couple of other tours he had done that were just. He said, and they were actual firefighters.
He was in a Desert Storm, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah, he was in Panama and Kuwait.
And he said that what he experienced in what ultimately became the movie Black Hawk Down was, he said, the indescribable worst thing he was a part of ever in his whole life. And then he told us a lot of detail about it. What was interesting to me is that he really said the movie is a solid depiction of his experience.
Right.
Which you don't hear that very often.
Right.
I mean, honestly. And then he talked about, okay, so this scene was very accurate. So that was what I want to go back and watch it now. Because if you're familiar with the film Black Hawk Down, they have the guys who were in the helicopters and the guys who were in the Humvees. And Jeff Strucker was leading the Humvee team.
Right.
So it's not like he was just, it's not like he was a different soldier, just a random side character. He was a main character.
Yeah. And not only did he go in and bring back wounded back to the base camp, he turned around and went back a couple more times to get more wounded. And this is, 1,000 to 1 enemy combatants per, U.S. military personnel. It was odds like that. And the worst gunfire you'd ever experienced. And yet, you never leave a man behind. So there's no question. You're going back.
Yeah, the courage. And now he's a pastor, and get this, Columbus, Georgia, just outside of Fort Benning, where my daughter is currently stationed.
And he invited you to come to church.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's in a startup church.
Yeah, he said they meet in like some office space or something.
So guys, I think I'm going to suggest my family go.
You should.
He's like so famous. I could introduce him to my daughter. Maybe he'll like get her ranked up or something. Just kidding. You can't do that. But you guys helped me go and say hello to him at the very end.
I didn't do anything.
Well, our station manager, Josh, did that,
he
I guess.
forced us to do that.
And so we went up and chatted with him for a minute and got a picture. And then I was like, hey, my daughter's over there.
And he's like, hey, come to my church.
And then I said, is this weird? She liked boot camp. She loved it. And
he said, yeah, it's weird. But I think it was like, yeah, it's weird because I enjoyed it too. I think that was
You think that's what it was?
Yeah. Because he was, before you even said weird, he said weird.
Yeah.
Like he understood.
He was talking about when he first got in the Army, how much he loved it and how much he got to the recruiter. He said, give me the hardest job. And I was actually thinking him grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she kind of did that too. She's like, I don't want to be bored. What should I do? They're like, well, infantry airborne. She's like, okay, I'll do that. And she'll be 82nd Airborne. And he was a chaplain in the 82nd Airborne for a while.
Cool.
So, I mean, I'm Army adjacent, guys. Suddenly, if you're crunchy adjacent, Lauren.
Yeah.
I'm Army adjacent?
I don't think so because you don't do anything that's Army. So
Remember, I got to stand up yesterday, though, when they did the thing. I sat down quick, though. I don't know why they did this, but when our dear friend Larry Murrow, radio legend, asked all the veterans to stand, active duty soldiers to stand, parents of soldiers,
family members. Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at Lauren.
Looked across the table. He goes, "That's me." I was like, "Yeah,
good job."
I sheepishly stood up, and then he started like, "Thank you for all you're doing," and then I sat down because I'm not doing anything except accepting her phone calls on the weekend.
Yeah,
and I ship her packages.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
keep her entertained.
I've got an Army T-shirt.
Yes, and a magnet
on the back of my car.
Yeah, Mayor Phil wanted to know how much bacon Ron had.
Ron,
actually, the Lord blessed me with the second plate, so I think 4 strips each plate. So that would have been 8 strips.
How did you get a second plate?
Well,
were you sweet talking the server?
It was like the Holy Spirit descended on the server
like a dove
and blinded her. But we had 1 extra plate, and then a couple of attenders came in late, so I passed the plate over to them, and then I saw
he had not
a server.
eaten off the plate yet.
Yeah, and
you just
I
take
saw
the
a
bacon
server,
text.
and I said, "Oh, we've got 2 people here who just came," and so she gave me 2 plates. Well, they already had the 1 extra, so
Look at you, Ron.
I kept 1.
Someone next to me said, "Should I give Ron my bacon?" We were at a different table. I was like, "I think he's okay."
He would have taken it.
Yeah, I would have. It was good.
I thwarted Ron's bacon.
You did? Oh,
yeah, I told her. I was like, "No, he looks like he's fine."
Yeah.
Are you?
He
offended,
still
Ron?
had bacon on his plate when I looked over there.
Well, he was. I save when I eat with a purpose, not just randomly.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
I'm about to explain it, Daria.
Explain faster.
With a purpose.
I waited to eat the bacon till the very end. I saved it to the end because it was my favorite part.
Oh, I do that too. I save my favorite for last.
Do you do that, Daria?
I eat in sections.
Or you just close your eyes and start shoveling?
I mean, I just eat what I feel like.
Close
in that
your
moment.
eyes and shovel.
No. I don't overthink my plate. I just
I
eat
way
and enjoy
overthink it.
I save my favorite for last.
Yes, and I actually also ration the drink that I have so that I have enough throughout the meal. That's why I get all flustered if Sarah reaches over to try to drink out of my drink. I'm like, there, you just ruined the whole thing.
You ruined my rations.
You know you can go get more water or
But I'd rather
milk
not,
or whatever.
Well, she could get her own glass.
Or keep the water pitcher on the table.
Now, counselor Erica Kurcsak, analyze.
No.
Are you
Keep me
worried
out of
about me?
this.
You're like, obsessive compulsive disorder. Check.
Maybe some tendencies.
do you like eat with a purpose, as I call it?
Eat with a purpose.
I mean, when you put it that way, the
I think
explanation.
all eating is purposeful.
Yes, I eat my food in a certain order, but I don't know.
It's not clinical to do that?
No, I don't think so. I think you're okay.
Do you eat your favorite
in
first?
that regard?
Or last?
No, last.
Yeah. It's the right way to do it.
Thank you. Ron? Shovel?
I kind of evenly divide. So I would cut a bit of the egg and then some potatoes go with it, and then have some bacon.
And then go back around.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not combining the bite. You're going in a circle. It's like a cycle for you. You're going to go 1, 2, 3.
I would have the eggs and the eggs and the potato
Not the waltz.
maybe in the same forkful.
You would. See? Yeah, I'm not doing that. He's mixing the two together.
Yeah.
I want the bacon all by itself.
But it's still a purposeful eating, though.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he has his sections.
So maybe the clinical problem is Daria.
He doesn't think when she...
All right, we got to take a break. It is 6:22. What do you want to talk about? 440-546-2255.
Hey, my name's Brant Hansen. I'm an author and radio guy who did something about 15 years ago that changed my life. That is when I first visited a Cure International Children's Hospital. What Cure is doing to heal the sick and proclaim the kingdom is so brilliant. It's so profound. It is the most Jesus-shaped ministry I've ever seen. More people need to know about it, so I'm really glad you're hearing about it right now on Moody Radio. Please check it out online. It's cure.org/Moody. That's cure.org/Moody.
This is David with the ministry India Partners, and since teaming up with Moody Radio, here's the impact that you have made. Girls as young as 8 have been rescued from a hopeless future and work that no one should ever have to do.
When I first got to the safe house, I was so happy to be safe and out of the red light area. I felt love like I had never felt before.
They're given 3 meals a day and life-saving health care.
When I was brought to the safe house, I didn't even weigh 50 pounds. I feel so healthy and safe here, safer than I ever knew I could be.
Plus, you've made a kingdom impact.
I also remember going to church for the first time. Now I read my Bible and worship Him every day.
And these girls know how it's all possible.
Thank you, Moody Radio.
Learn more about how India Partners is rescuing girls from being trafficked. Go to indiapartners.org/Moody.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Follow-Up Friday, where you get to suggest a topic, ask a question. Our guest all morning is our friend Erica Kurcsak from Maranatha Bible Church and the ministry Grace and Beauty, and a whole long list of other areas of expertise that she has, and we love her. So we got a phone call already, which we love it. John, my guy John from Cleveland. Welcome, brother. What's your question today?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Thanks for taking my call, sir.
You bet.
So my question to your guest, my wife and I, we also homeschool, and we have 7 children, so we have multiple children, obviously, different
God bless
ages.
you.
Yes, sir. Well, we've been homeschooling for over 20 years, and my question is, how does your guest feel? I guess it's twofold. How does she feel about homeschooling multiple children? And then on top of that, does she find herself homeschooling differently in her later years than she did when she first started? Because this notion about being a parent when you're early, you parent differently maybe than when you become older. So
totally different.
What does that look like? Yeah. What does that look like for your guests?
Okay. Thank you, Erica.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. I think one of the most challenging things about homeschooling is trying to do multiple grades. The fact that I have a first grader, third grader, fifth grader, seventh grader, you really have to figure out how to coordinate the scheduling on that. But also then, I'm just constantly changing gears. So between a first grader and a seventh grader, there's a lot of difference in how you're teaching and what you're teaching. So I would say that's a huge challenge. The curriculum that we use, once you hit 4th grade, you can kind of do, it's called a family learning cycle. So certain subjects you can combine all together. And obviously the more advanced kids have more work than the younger kids. But that's helped a ton to be able to combine some of those subjects.
Someone's going to ask what you use, so you might as well just say it. Can you say it?
Yeah, we use My Father's World curriculum. Mm-hmm.
My Father's World curriculum. There it is. And Lauren's about to look it up so people that ask for it can have it. Thanks, Lauren.
It's a Christian-based curriculum that's very missions-minded, which fits well with our family. So, and then what was the second part of that question?
Do you find yourself teaching, changing as the kids get older, how you approach it?
Sure.
Just based on experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my oldest is in 7th grade, and then the next one's 5th grade. So I would say with them, I was very tied to the curriculum. Like, we have to do this, we have to check all the boxes, we have to get everything done that's supposed to be done. I mean, as a homeschool mom, you feel responsible for their education, so it feels like a big task. But I did not realize with one of my children that they were falling behind in a certain subject because I was just trying to check all the boxes. And we got to a certain point that I was like, this is laborious. We're both frustrated here. This isn't working because they didn't have the basics that they needed. And so we actually went backwards, which was I'm a rule follower, a box checker. And so it was a big thing for me to go backwards and to say, we're going to go back and we're going to review some of these things. And it was the best thing that we did. It really helped our relationship because there was a lot of conflict in trying to stay on schedule. So I would say that was a turning point for me to realize, I can change this up, and actually went outside of the curriculum, which was another first for me, to find a different source, a different resource that would work better for that child's learning styles. Mm-hmm. So I think I've gotten more flexible in being willing to change things up, I guess, as I've gone along.
It's 6:32. Again, it's Follow-Up Friday. You can set the topic. John had a great question for our guest, Erica Kurcsak, who's with us all day. Well, not all day. Sorry. Just during the show.
You have to stay here. We're actually going to put you to work.
440-546-2255. What I'd actually like to do is, since we started down the homeschool road, I want to stick with that for a few minutes, because you and I have had great discussions with our spouses together, talking about schooling choice in this matter, where you're not somebody who thinks everybody must homeschool.
Right.
And so when I encounter someone like that, we got to talk about how you know. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you know what's right for your kid and what's right for you as a mom? I think a lot of women don't consider that. And I say women because primarily women are doing this. 440-546-2255 at 6:32 on WCRF.
Jamie Buxton, and this is Pause for Prayer. This spring has already brought many new priorities to my life. I got a new promotion at work with many new responsibilities. Baseball season in the Buxton house is in full effect, and adding summer fun opportunities seems absolutely daunting. Because of the pressure I put on myself to be a super mom, a decent cook, to have a clean house, to be a good coworker, to be a nice neighbor, I've been more on edge than normal and don't always answer my husband and kids in a loving way. I've snapped back more and been short with my words more than ever before. Let's pause for prayer. Jesus, we need your patience and grace more than ever. Forgive us, Father, for the quick and snappy way we respond to those most precious to us. Forgive us for the harsh words and the snappy remarks that we make when we're feeling overwhelmed. Humble our hearts, Jesus, to ask for forgiveness when we've spoken too quickly or too loudly or with words that we're not proud of. Break in us this need to do all the things and to do them perfectly. Loosen these self-inflicted chains of perfectionism. Your word so powerfully proclaims your wisdom on forgiveness in Matthew chapter 6. For if you forgive men when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father will not forgive yours. Help us to be a forgiver, not only so you'll forgive us, but so that we can live in the freedom that you promise. More than that, even, Jesus, help us to be the mom, the dad, the husband, the wife, the coworker, the friend in Christ that quickly realizes when we've offended someone and ask for forgiveness. Motivate us to learn from those mistakes and to love others better. Help us, Jesus, to respond to others more like you. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Claire from Trinity Debt Management. I'm a counselor, and the reason that I love working for Trinity is because I get to help folks with one of the hardest problems a family can face, and that's financial difficulties. In this day and age, everything is going up. You have higher utilities, higher grocery bills, higher fuel, and those credit card interest rates have gone up as well. We can help you with that. We can help you get lower interest rates, lower monthly payments. In just a few minutes, we put together a plan that gets you out of debt and keeps you out of debt. I love my job. It's a great program and a very smart way to find debt relief.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838.
I'm Claire, a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-659-9838.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Brian. It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. It's Follow-Up Friday, where you get to set the topic, whether it's something we've already talked about or a new topic you'd like us to discuss. With us, Erica Kurcsak from Maranatha Bible Church, where she serves in the Grace and Beauty Ministry. Also a homeschool mom, which is where we're going to park for just a moment, because so many families, whether it's grandparents or parents, debate these choices, right? And I know our families have discussed this at length, and I loved the conversation. So how would you say, like, what's your advice for families on how to know if homeschooling is right for you? How do you know?
I think the starting place should always be prayer, which might sound cliche, but honestly, God cares about our children's education more than we do. And I also think that along with that prayer, you need to be kind of thinking through, like, what's my priority here, is in terms of what my goals are for my children. There are some people who, their goal is prestigious higher education for their children, and a lot of times people think that can be accomplished much better through homeschooling. Or if you have goals, I want all Christian parents obviously want their kids to be godly, and what's the best way for me to accomplish that with my children? So thinking through as you're praying about it, like what are my future goals for my children, I think is an important place to start.
Can I ask what you and your husband had as a goal? You don't have to share that, but
oh, sure. I don't have any specific goals for my kids to go to prestigious universities. If they want to go to higher education, great. If they don't, and they feel like they're pursuing what God wants for them, then that's what I want as well. So I think our goal has always been to set a solid biblical foundation for them, and allow that to be the guideline for their lives. And so if I don't really care. I mean, we have our kids tested, state testing at the end of every year, but I don't really care a whole lot about the grades. And I don't know, that might be a little bit anti-homeschool, but for me, I care about the opportunities that I have as their teacher, essentially, to teach them life skills and how do you get along with your siblings, and what do you do when you're trying to get your math homework done and this person is being really annoying, and like those kinds of like everyday life things, and how do I prepare them for interacting in the future, in the workplace or in ministry or whatever that might be.
Well, and this is why we get along so well, because even though Sarah and I have made a different choice with our kids for public school at this phase of their lives, we have the same goal. Mm-hmm. But we're just accomplishing it differently. Yep. So now, to me, the bigger question, because this is what Sarah encountered, because I was working full-time and she was working full-time as a mom for a long season. How do you know if it's right for you as a mom? Let's just say mom, even though we know it could be dad. But I think some people are not wired to do it effectively. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say, but I always feel like when people are like, oh, I could never do what you're doing, there's the majority of days I don't feel like I can do what I'm doing. Like I don't
I guess that's true for all of us. Yeah.
I think this is the choice we made, and so I don't think necessarily like is this the right thing or is this not the right thing? I mean, there's certain days where I do feel that way, but I mean, for the most part, it's like this is the choice we made. This is what we feel like is best for our children in this particular stage, and so I don't know. I don't really think a whole lot about am I the right person to do this, or is this the right thing for me? I mean, that being said, there are some people that your relationship might be better with your kids if you were not homeschooling with them, and in that case, then I think you need to be aware of that. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does, and that's again, I think the beauty of how you approach this, because when Sarah started homeschooling, our oldest daughter was homeschooled through 4th grade, and then we transitioned. We came to Ohio to public school. And a lot of it was just, Sarah was like, I just don't think this is right for me. And she had a number of reasons for that. But I think there's, how it is in various areas of life, especially for Christians, there's a lot of pressure on people
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a pressure, you have to breastfeed or you're the worst mom ever. There's that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you start homeschooling and you can't stop.
Right.
Because there's something wrong with you if you started it. Wow, what, you can't take it? Loser?
Yeah, like I failed at this. It's not going well. And so I have to stop.
What's your thought on that attitude?
On
either the pressure on someone to continue homeschooling, whether they feel like it's right or not, or feeling like they're terrible because they made a different choice. Like what do we do with that church culture phenomena?
Yeah. Well, when we started homeschooling, we said it was going to be a year by year, child by child basis. And rather than saying, hard and fast, this is what we're doing for the rest of time. If this isn't working for our children, and then we need to figure out what else God wants us to be doing in terms of their education. So, and I think that would be true whether they're in a private school or a public school, that you should always feel the freedom to evaluate whether or not this is right for your child, based on their behavior, the way they're receiving it, the way that they're learning. Maybe they have special learning needs that the school that they're at isn't meeting, and so maybe you think that you can do that better at home. Or vice versa. Maybe your child has specific learning needs and you feel like you're not equipped to do that. And there's a lot of people in the public schools who are equipped for that. So why would I keep them at home if there's something else they could be benefiting from and learning in a better way, I guess, for their particular style? So trying to keep open-minded about it.
It sounds like we should trust that parents are doing what's best for their kids and leave them alone.
Yeah.
Or is it the Brian version?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I can't say that what I've chosen to do is what's right for everyone, because I think that's absolutely false. I think the most important thing is, am I doing what God wants me to do for my children? And I mean, you can sit around and debate that all day long, but at the end of the day, whether they're in homeschool, private school, public school, I mean, I've seen kids go through all three and love the Lord. And I've seen kids go through all three and walk away from their faith. Yep. So I don't think that the education itself is what makes or breaks a child's spirituality or their future walk with the Lord. There's something else. There's something else to it,
Yeah, we don't believe our kids can inherit faith from us. And yet sometimes we act like they can. And we wish that it's possible. You're agreeing with that?
Yeah, I wish they could.
Oh, yeah.
That would be nice.
Like we kind of earnestly plan for that.
Yeah.
Like if we just do the right things. I have this back of my mind, think if I just do it right, the kids will all be saved. But that's not a spiritual fact at all.
No.
Nope.
That's not how salvation works. And so it is that dilemma parents have to deal with. It's that I could do all the right things and do my best, and my child still may not accept an invitation to follow Jesus. It's a tough reality. And now, Lauren, you grew up in private school.
Yeah.
And so obviously, since you went in private Christian school, your children will be going to private Christian school because that's the best choice, right?
No, our plan is to send our kids to public school. And here's my reasoning for it. I felt very unprepared for the real world coming out of private school. And I want to be able to have the hard conversations with my kids of the things they experience, hear about at school. I want to have those conversations with them at home when they're still under my care. And I feel very prepared and equipped to have those conversations. I'm not shy about those conversations. And so I know it's right for me and my husband to do that. Because I want them to experience the real world. I want them to see what other people look like, act like, sound like, what do other people believe and say. And here's why we believe what we do. And yeah, I just think that's best for us. I think that's best coming from both me and my husband's education experience. We both come from private schools, different types, but private schools. And we think public school is going to be the best way forward for our family.
So in some Christian circles, you two probably couldn't be friends. Because you would be nice to each other, but you would be quietly going, wow, she doesn't know what she's doing. I can't believe she's doing that with her children.
Some people would do that, yeah.
So how can you two be friends when your philosophy on schooling for your kids is so different?
Well, I think
I love your annoyed face. I have to ask this because people...
I think the baseline is I trust that Erica's doing the best that she's doing for her family. And she's doing that what is best for her family and what God has asked her to do. And she has to trust the same for me.
And she does.
And that's what friendship is that you trust that your friend is doing what God's asked them to do. One of my closest friends is a homeschool mom. We have kids the same age. She knows I'm not doing that. First of all, I am not wired for that. But also, that's not what I think is best for our family. And she has no ill will towards me. I support her in her homeschooling. Like, wow, look at you and all your folders. That's so great. I could never do that. I could never do that.
You should see Erica's setup. It is so
exactly.
cool for her kids. It is the coolest
thing.
thing
You got to
ever.
have the setup. You got to be it's got to be all right. And that's just like not me.
You know, what's interesting, Lauren, as you're explaining your reasons for sending them to public school, I feel like I resonate with those same things, that I want my kids to be prepared for the real world. And I want to have those conversations with them. When things come up, I want to have the conversations with them while they still want to listen to me, you know, like while they're still young enough to think that I know what I'm talking
about.
So
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
At some point, they probably won't think that anymore. Yes. And so let's have those conversations now so that when they're exposed to things, whether it's playing with the neighbors or something that they saw on a show or whatever, like, let's have those conversations and let's talk about it. And you can talk about anything. We can talk about whatever you want to in this family and prepare them, because the reality is they're going to face it.
Yep.
This is the world we live in, and we can't hide from the things that they have to walk through. So let's make it a conversation that we can have in the home.
Yep. So yeah, I feel like my experience at Christian school, and this is my experience at my specific school, was anyone who wasn't a part of this school, anyone who wasn't a Christian was so othered, and I don't want that experience for my children, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that non-Christians are othered from me. And so I don't want that experience for my kids.
Now, I, of course, just to spice it up a little bit, I serve on the board at Summit Christian School. And so I certainly believe there's this very specific and powerful place for Christian education.
Yeah.
Now, just because we don't have anyone here right now that has a child in private Christian education, we can't necessarily accurately portray that perspective. But we're not frowning upon that choice. You're talking about your experience.
Yes.
And for some people, that's the best choice for their family, and it works perfectly. Our good friend Scott Lessing, his kids went through private Christian school.
Yeah, every family's different.
And that's
every
okay.
kid is different, and you have to be okay with changing, and maybe your kids have to go to different schools.
So what I want to do is this. When we'll take a quick break and come back, because somehow you two have achieved this mindset that is not competitive, and you're not looking down your nose at each other, where this is actually a very intense thing for Christian families. Like, there's people who make their personal choice and think everybody else is the world's biggest idiot. And they hate their kids and they want them all to, like, not be saved or something. So we got to figure out how to have your mindsets spread around the church a bit. We'll get to that here on WCRF in just a minute.
The world is changing fast. AI, global crises, and shifting cultural landscapes are shaping future generations in ways that are hard to imagine. The question isn't if change is coming. The question is, how will we respond? Join Moody Bible Institute this May in Chicago for Future Church, preaching and leading the next generation. This powerful conference will equip you with dynamic preaching methods and cutting-edge leadership strategies to reach that next generation. Register now at moodyconferences.com. That's moodyconferences.com.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to the support of listeners and Hawkins Sales. They've been serving our region's electrical industry for over 40 years. More information about Hawkins Sales is at hawkinssales.com.
Family. That word stirs up affection and at times angst. There is brokenness in every family, but no brokenness is too big for God. Join Bible teacher Erin Davis in her new study, The Story of Joseph. Through all the messy dysfunction, discover God's perfect plan for Joseph and for you. Order your copy of The Story of Joseph. Open your Bible and see how the Lord is building a beautiful family for His glory. Find it now at moodybooks.org.
Get up, get ready, and get going. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
6:54 on Moody Radio. It's follow-up Friday on Mornings with Brian, and that means that you get to set the topic, 440-546-2255. Our guest all morning, Erica Kurcsak from Maranatha Bible Church. We're chatting with her. Yes, very good.
Thanks.
she's got a lot of areas of expertise, in my opinion.
Yes.
She would deny
all of them,
that.
really.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
And so we're talking now about she's a homeschool mom, and her and Lauren are making different choices for their kids of similar ages, and we made a different choice for our kids of similar ages in some respects. We're trying to figure out how we can have more unity in the church in this area. In my experience, there's a lot of Christian families who really look down upon each other for their choices of education. Has that been your experience, Erica?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Lauren? Yeah? You're kind of new in that area.
Yeah,
I
I'm a little
suppose,
bit new in that area to experience the judgment of it, but we'll see.
But you two being perfectly okay with each other's choices, one public school, one homeschool, is very rare. Why is that a thing, and how can we help this happen more other places?
I don't know. I'm not certain why it's a thing. Maybe it's we feel a little bit anxious or uncertain about the decision we're making, so we kind of cling to it and then shame all the others.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like you're not really certain. There's so many options, so you're not exactly certain if yours is the right decision, so you have to kind of bear down and make it the right decision.
Yeah, I always thought that kind of like smugness of I've made the best decision and I can't believe you're doing that came out of a place of pride, but you're saying it could be out of anxiety.
Or uncertainty, yeah.
Because I suppose, isn't that true about all of us? Like, ooh, did I do the right thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know.
I mean, like Erica said, there's kids from all different versions of schooling that follow Jesus and all different versions of schooling that don't.
How do you process that?
Well, I feel like as parents, we have a fierce love for our children. There's something different when it comes to our kids and our relationship with our kids. So I think that plays into it too. And I think Lauren really is onto something there, that there's this element of like, I am trying to do what's best for my kids. So I don't want you to judge me for what I think is best for my kids. So instead I'm going to judge you.
Put the wall up before they can come for me. Yeah.
Wow.
But honestly, there are people that really firmly feel in their hearts, they have a conviction from the Lord of what to do for their children. And I think sometimes when you have a very strong conviction about something, it's hard to imagine that somebody could have a different conviction. It's just because the Lord has convinced me of this so much, I don't see how everybody else couldn't have that same mindset.
I think something we also don't think about or talk about much is that God builds people with different strengths and abilities and giftings for different places. If every Christian was a homeschool family, who's like out in the world with people who are non-Christians? Or if every Christian family was in Christian schools, who is out in the public schools? And then it's the reverse. If every family is a public school family, where is like our Christian teaching for our kids too? I think God builds families, not just people, but people and families for different things and different types of service and different types of ministry. And he builds their skills, their personalities, their different bents for different things.
Well, and this is kind of reminiscent of the when you talk about the three types of things we believe in, the areas of belief, whether it's essential or not. What are they again? There's
dogma, doctrine, and opinion.
And I think we sometimes forget that some of these choices fall into those similar categories.
Yeah.
Like there's no biblical mandate for Christian education or homeschooling or public school.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the biblical principles that guide us in making these decisions for our families?
Well, there is a biblical principle to train our children,
Right.
Deuteronomy 6, and when you sit, when you rise, when you go about the way. So I think a lot of homeschool families feel like that's their way of fulfilling the Deuteronomy 6 calling for parents to train their children. So I think that where we fall short in that, as if I put myself in the homeschool camp, it is expecting that that's the only way that someone could follow that mandate for Deuteronomy 6. I think you can absolutely do that with your children if they're in public school or if they're in private school. It's what you're doing in the home that matters in terms of training your children. So I think sometimes we put those biblical mandates in a box, like it has to look this way.
That's good. Are you there too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to look the same for everybody.
And I hope this helps somebody listening, because it's such a, like, it makes me feel so sad. I don't get angry, but I feel sad when families do this to each other. We really ought to just support each other the best we can and trust that, again, everyone's doing the best they can. I mean, it's a hard thing to think of, but even people who grow up in really dysfunctional families, I still believe that the dysfunctional parents are doing the best they can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not waking up today, how could I mess up my kid?
Right. And how are they parented? What family background are they coming from? They're likely doing better than they had. They're functioning out of what they know.
Well, and a lot of our decisions, like Lauren's, are based on, like a reaction to what you experienced as a kid. I mean, I know people who had a horrible homeschool experience that are my age now, and so they're sending their kids to public school because they don't want them to have that experience, and vice versa. People that had a horrible public school experience and they want to homeschool their kids. So I think sometimes that plays into the decision too. You're reacting to whatever experience you had when you were growing up.
Now, I guess I'm not surprised this came up, but we had a question come in about not really homeschooling, but now jumping to something every parent faces today. What do you do about the cell phone thing? We've got a number of families represented here, and Erica Kurcsak is here with her. You got almost a teenager. It's like a rite of passage. So we'll talk about the question tied to cell phones in a few minutes and chat about it with you as a team. It's Follow Up Friday, 440-546-2255.
It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Christian counseling for adults, couples, children, and families. North Coast Family Foundation. WCRF Cleveland. WVMS Sandusky. WVML Millersburg. WVMN Newcastle. WVME Meadville. WVMU Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Trump has fired Librarian of Congress Carla Hayden. It's 7:02. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Hayden was fired via an email yesterday. The first woman and the first African American to be Librarian of Congress, Hayden was appointed by President Obama back in 2016. Her 10-year term was set to expire next year. In Brooklyn Heights, Police Chief David Meade is being put on administrative leave. Meade has been charged with OVI following a recent accident in Lakewood. And Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel is considering a campaign for Ohio's top executive office. Former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy and Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost are among the Republicans who are already running to replace term-limited Governor Mike DeWine. In sports, the Cavaliers tip off against the Pacers in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals tonight, trailing the best-of-7 series 0-2. The Browns and Steelers kick off their rookie mini camps today, and the Pirates have fired manager Derek Shelton. Bench coach Don Kelly will take over the managerial duties. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Sunny today, highs in the upper 50s. At last check, clear skies, 43 degrees in Akron. In Cleveland, rather. In Akron, it's partly cloudy and 39. Youngstown, the same, partly cloudy and 39 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
The National Association of Letter Carriers is holding their annual Stamp Out Hunger food drive this month. Postal workers will be collecting donations of non-perishable food items. Those who would like to contribute are asked to place a sturdy bag containing shelf-stable foods near their mailbox before the mail runs on Saturday. Collections will go to local outreaches like the Haven of Rest in Akron and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3.
Follow-Up Friday on WCRF, and that means you get to set the topic for the day. You can call or text with what you want to talk about, whether it's something we brought up this week or not, 440-546-2255. In studio, she's been a guest, and after we've nudged her for months and months, she's also a Friday friend.
Yay!
Erica Kurcsak.
Good morning.
From Maranatha Bible Church and the ministry Grace and Beauty, and she's an expert, and we're deciding everything.
Yeah.
Not true, but thanks.
Masters in Biblical Counseling.
Come on.
Mic drop. Done. Expert. Okay, so we've been chatting about a number of things that connect to her soul and all of ours as well, but we got a question that's really good that we can all chat with.
How have you handled phones? I'm just in the middle of the book, The Anxious Generation. Our oldest is 9, finishing 3rd grade in public school, and the iPad and personal electronics is starting to be a problem, and so we're making changes relating to entertainment and personal electronics. So how have you guys handled that?
I love that she has to go first.
Right? So
It said a question for the guest. It didn't say a question for us.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you for asking her that.
Please be specific.
Yeah, so my oldest is coming up on 13 in a couple weeks.
She's basically 13.
She is
basically a
listening.
teenager.
Yeah.
She's been 13 for like 6 months, so in her heart.
Yeah. And this is a tricky question, I think, for all Christian parents to have to wrestle with. And I think that it's constantly in flux. You know, the way we've handled personal electronics has changed back and forth over the years. I will say just the simple answer is that none of our kids have phones at this point. And my daughter is I think the only kid in the middle school at our church that does not have a phone. She is allowed to use my phone to text friends. She's got a couple friend groups that she texts with regularly on my phone.
So you never have your phone, basically?
Well, the rule is it has to stay in the main areas of the house. She's not allowed to take my phone into her room. And we're kind of trying to set the precedent for when she actually has her own phone, and that's going to be the rule to start off with. You're not allowed to take your phone or your device into your room. Mm-hmm. It needs to stay in a main public area of the house because I think we can all know why. Mm-hmm. It's just that extra layer of accountability. So first off, it being on my phone, she knows that I can read any of her texts at any point, things that she's receiving and things that she's sending. And sometimes we'll have conversations about it. And sometimes, I'm like, where is my phone? Does anybody know where my phone is? But it's been a really good, I think, first step for her to get to experience that, but then also not have the complete freedom that's just like, oh, here you go. Here's some anxiety for you. Here's some depression for you. Here's some social media for you. Because the studies show that's what's going on mm-hmm. with a lot of today's young people, unfortunately. So we're trying to navigate this and sort of ease into it. I think she was in 6th grade when we started letting her use my phone for texting because all of her friends had phones and she wanted to communicate with them, and we didn't want her to feel left out. And
is she happy with you? She loves this?
She would prefer having her own phone, I think.
Is she pretty vocal about that or not?
No, she's accepted that this is how it is. I mean, every now and then she'll say something about it.
And she's not necessarily a rebellious kid from what I know, at least,
no,
right?
She's super sweet. She's super sweet.
Pretty compliant and,
mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
my oldest wasn't, but okay.
Well, and this is the kind of thing that I think is probably going to change and shift. Like I said, this is our first child. And so I know you can attest to that, Brian, that like your children, as they probably ended up with phones earlier than like your oldest. Like it just is something that happens. But at this point, that's what we've decided to do.
And all 4 of them couldn't be texting on your phone.
Well, exactly.
They can't all have your phone to text their friend groups.
Yes.
So.
Other children have asked for, can I text my friends? I'm like, I will never see my phone.
Exactly.
So you have to wait.
Well, yeah, and then
you lose your text messages that you need.
Yes.
And there's so many reasons why the temptation comes in. It's like they start having activities and you want to be able to reach them. There's the convenience factor. And when you look at least the articles, I haven't read Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, but some of the summaries and some of the pieces he's written, the problem now for parents is that kids will be anxious with a phone and depressed, and they'll be just as anxious and depressed without it when they reach a certain age because they're disconnected from their friend group. I mean, I don't think people understand how, like, texting, my children don't text anyone but their grandparents and their parents. Grace showed me, my 19-year-old showed me, oh, look, Dad, I have like 600 text messages unread. Like, she doesn't,
because
they don't do that.
They're using other messaging.
They use social media.
Forms, yeah.
Like, for Grace's age, it's not, can I have your number? It's, can I have your Snap?
Yeah.
And so, like, if you don't, at a certain age as a teenager, if you don't have access to a smartphone that's connected to the internet, you'll miss out. Like, one of my boys, his friends were meeting to play online games together, like innocent online games together. And he was missing out on it because they were coordinating it by cell phone.
And not text messages.
Yes, so he was left out. Yeah. He would try to text with, because we have, for some of the younger ones, we'd have what I would call just a brick, basically a dumb phone. But
you can text and call.
It's someone's old iPhone that works on Wi-Fi that we've got it locked down for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think your kids are at the point yet where they're missing out so much not having it. But I think your daughter will reach that point where she'll miss out on some stuff because of it. And then I feel like parents are nowadays we're in a no-win. I feel like I'm literally in a no-win. Like, there's no good choice. I feel a victim of the circumstance. And now parents go, wow, you have to make the best choice for your kids. It doesn't matter if they hate you. Okay, you can say that. But I want my kids to have a good, have friends. And some of them are really outgoing and sassy, and they can't just sit home all day long. And how's it worked out for my kid? My oldest is 19. I have 19, 18, 17, 13, and 11. Whew, jeez, why is that hard? How's it working out?
You're doing the math on the fly.
Yeah, I don't know how it's working out. I don't know. I'm praying it works out. I feel like there's a point at which they don't have a choice. My 13-year-old was basically the last kid in his grade to get cell service.
Mm-hmm.
The last kid. Who cares? It was deeply affecting him.
He cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even, for the sake of his own privacy, I'm not going to share with you the details, but it was deeply affecting him, and he was very left out.
Yeah.
I think, good, he's left out. That's good. No, it's not good. I want what's best for my child.
He's a very social kid. He wants to be included. He wants to be a part of stuff. He wants to make connections.
And then whenever I talk to you about it, Lauren, you're in that place where it's like, I do the same thing. It's like, I'm not even going to think about it. I can't do that.
I can't even think about it. I can't. I just can't.
I want you to.
I know you want me to, but who knows what life's going to be like in even 5 years when my son is 10? Who knows? I don't know.
But see,
so many things could change.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I want you to think about it is because I think that my generation of parents was the first ones to be in this horrible position. And none of us know if we did the right thing.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for younger people who can see the consequences of our decisions and go, do you like it? Are you gonna do the same thing?
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, you kind of have to, it seems like you have to get with your kids, friends, parents, and be like, can we all get on the same page?
And they won't.
Can we all use Gab phones? So it's just locked down to text or calls with whoever the parent allows in the phone.
Never going to happen.
Can we all do Gab phones so that they can only do, that's but no one's going to do that.
No, the intensity, it used to be it takes a village to raise a child, right? If Sally's mom calls your mom and says you were being naughty, you're in trouble. Not anymore. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Everybody for themselves. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, my niece and nephew are 12 and 9 or 11 and 9, something like that. And one has a Gab phone where my sister has to lock in who she's allowed to text or call. And then my nephew is 9 and has a Gab watch where it's the same thing. He can only lock in who you can text or voice message or whatever. And even text, it's pre-accepted text. He can't just type anything he wants. It's only certain messages like, cool, awesome, thanks, how are you?
Well, and then my son Theo, who's I like calling him Teddy, but he hates it now. He's decided that's not cool anymore. Sorry, I'm annoyed by it still. I feel like I'm talking about someone else's kid when I talk about Theo. But anyway, when he was like 9, he had a buddy come sleep over, and the kid had a nicer phone than me, the 9-year-old friend, had a brand new iPhone, and full cell service.
And like, what do you do when that kid comes over to your house and your kids don't have that? And like, you can't have that, use that in my kid's room or something. You know, you can't use that here.
And then one of my other favorite stories to tell. So when my kids were even younger, we first get to Northeast Ohio. We're meeting people, having people over. We have everything locked down. Nobody's got phones. I've got all the software on the computers. We had a desktop somewhere. And a pastor's family came over. And the pastor's kid, a little bit older than my oldest, and he was like, hey, we should go do this on the internet. And my daughter's like, my parents have like a lock on it. He goes, oh, no problem. And he hacked into it. So it's like, if you really want to avoid the cell phone
on a
thing,
desktop that's in the living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you really want to avoid everything that has to do with technology and cell phones with your kids, here's what you need to do. You need to go hundreds of miles away from civilization and live off the grid. Like, go to Alaska and live off the grid. You're going to have an outhouse, and you're going to have solar panels. You're going to have to hunt your own food because you can't avoid it. It's like my parents tried to avoid R-rated movies for me, but all my buddies could watch R-rated movies. Every movie I wasn't supposed to watch, I saw it multiple times because you can't control what your kid's doing outside your own house sometimes. So,
yeah, my sister made me watch Jaws far too young.
Are you okay?
No, I'm still haunted by it. It happened in our own house.
That song. Dun-dun,
yeah, exactly.
dun-dun. Are you scared?
And what's the one? The Birds.
Oh.
Hitchcock?
Yes. My sister made me
yeah. I didn't think The Birds was scary.
Yeah, my parents.
I don't do
when you're in 4th grade.
I don't do horror movies at all. I did not think The Birds was scary.
Did you watch it in 4th grade?
I think I did.
I was a bit older.
Horrifying.
My mom was all like, oh, it's so scary. Let's watch it. My brother and I were like, what was it, a dumb bird? She's scared of birds? What's wrong with her?
I'm going to be attacked in the shower by birds.
Well,
spent months with water on the floor in the bathroom because I was scared.
Well, you know, part of it for me could have been when we went to our friend's house, we were watching like Friday the 13th. So, or like, or Nightmare on Elm Street or something.
I have a very sensitive spirit, Brian.
Oh.
Got him.
No, I know, but
Now you're nice to me.
I can't believe you revealed that.
Well, at that time, just kind of, desensitized at this point. But in 4th grade, when I'm watching birds attack a lady, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And sharks attack men.
Yeah. I actually, just yesterday, heard somebody say, you know who the main character in Jaws was?
The shark?
Nope. Said the music.
Oh, yeah. So true.
Which I thought was actually pretty profound. You know who said it? Tracy Morgan. I was like, what's this guy doing being profound?
What's he talking about Jaws for?
He was like, yeah, the shark was broken all the time anyway. The main character is the music. I think he's right.
It's true.
What they did was, because the mechanical shark would not work, they turned the camera into the shark, so you don't see him till the very end.
So you would say the camera's the main character?
Yes.
See, follow-up Friday. You never know what's going to happen.
Look at this.
Film critics. All right, 721, Erica Kurcsak in studio. What do you want to talk about? 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to the support of listeners and Hawkins Sales. They've been serving our region's electrical industry for over 40 years. More information about Hawkins Sales is at hawkinssales.com.
The gospel is good news, but people won't be changed by it if they don't hear it. Romans 10:14 asks, how will they hear without someone preaching? At Moody Radio, we've got powerful gospel content to share, but it takes listeners like you to help us get that content to those who need it most. Your support is huge, so would you join us in sharing the good news with your gift?
Go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click on Donate. Thanks.
It's not insurance, and that's a new way of thinking for some families. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a credible way to meet family healthcare costs affordably, biblically, and effectively, whether starting or growing your family. Serving families as a nonprofit healthcare sharing ministry for over 40 years, CHM has offered families the freedom to choose how they would like to meet healthcare costs. Be pleasantly surprised and find answers to your questions at chministries.org/Moody. That's chministries.org/Moody.
Every day, thousands of children and families face hunger, poverty, and hardship. For 75 years, World Vision has been following Jesus and serving the poor, believing in a world where children are free from poverty and equipped to reach their God-given potential. And you can be part of this work, helping children and families gain access to essentials like clean water, education, healthcare, and nutritious food. Discover how you can show Jesus' love to children in need by visiting worldvision.org/radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
7:27 on Mornings with Brian on WCRF. It's Friday. That means the show is yours. You get to pick the topic, whether it's reviewing something from this week or a brand new topic. With us all morning, the lovely and talented Erica Kurcsak from the ministry Grace and Beauty. If your kids are up yet, you can do a shout out. Are they up yet? Do you know?
Well, I don't know, but I
They
can
have
do a
your
shout
phone.
out anyway.
They're
Yeah.
texting their friends on your phone?
No, I have
phone
my
on.
phone last I checked. Yeah.
Go ahead. You can say hi. I love your kids.
Yeah, good morning, Arabelle, Eliza, Samuel, Annalise, and my husband, Nathan. If
him
you're
too.
listening,
Nathan. what
love
a
you
guy.
guys.
World's best dad.
Amen.
Tied with Ron and me.
Yeah, of course.
And our dads. Okay.
And Eddie Cuevas.
Yeah, of
Yes. And Eddie Cuevas. Sorry,
He's not
Eddie.
listening, so.
He barely does.
Yeah, it's like 8:45. You get 15 minutes.
And I usually now, I don't know if you notice, I try
I
to like
do.
talk directly to your husband,
Yes,
Eddie.
I notice.
That's so awkward.
That's kind of how I roll.
It is.
All right, Lauren, we got another text in
Yes.
for a topic of some sort.
Do you know anything about the biblical proof for the psychological belief of attachment theory? About how a baby who does not have needs met then has attachment issues as an adult?
Can you give us a layman's attachment theory, Erica? Or is that just putting you on the spot too much? I can try if you'd like.
Well, go ahead, and then I'll refine it.
So,
Yeah, that's
because by the way, Erica, if you're just tuning in, she has a master's in biblical counseling. So this is basically a counseling session for the rest of us and you. So my friend Nancy Kane has talked about this before, but essentially, psychological research has shown that particularly the relationship between an infant and its mother is incredibly crucial and formative, in that how the mother interacts with the infant will ultimately create a style of attachment in the child as a consequence. And it's not an intentional thing. It just happens to be sometimes how mom is wired. And so there's different styles of attachment. There's secure attachment, which is basically like the person who's psychologically healthy. There's anxious attachment, savage attachment. I don't know any more than that.
I don't either.
And anxious attachment is somebody who, like in a marriage relationship or in a friendship, is constantly anxious that it's going to fall apart at any minute.
Yeah, that they're going to, like, your spouse or, like, your parents or whatever are going to leave you. You're always checking in, like, do you still love me? Are we still good? Are we okay here?
Mm-hmm.
And in some respects, that's likely a result of a mom who, for whatever reason, the kid thought that they had to do something to maintain their mother's love, rather than just get it unconditionally.
So there's secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized.
Exactly. Like I said.
Yeah,
so
like you said. Disorganized.
Yeah.
You had half of them.
So, Erica, how did I do? Okay?
Yeah, it's great.
No, I think that this person's essentially asking, that's not in the Bible. So
Yeah, they're asking for the biblical proof of the psychological belief for attachment theory.
Biblical counselor, take it away, because you did the secret biblical version of counseling, right?
Right. Well, okay, do I have a chapter and verse on attachment theory? No, I don't. And I think what I hear in this person's question is just I think of a common fear among believers that psychology would trump biblical truth. I think that's always the fear of counseling or psychology, is that, this isn't in the Bible, and so these people think that they understand human condition, but if God didn't talk about it, then it's not a thing. And I think God created our bodies and our brains, and science was his idea, psychology was his idea. And so I think the fundamental question is not, is attachment theory a biblical idea? I think more, you need to start thinking of it like, okay, the body is, it's spiritual and physical, and psychology doesn't negate biblical truth. But I think you have to make sure that you're not, I don't know how to say it, that you're not allowing psychology to become an excuse for your behavior in this. And I think that's maybe this person's concern, that if I have this attachment theory, then that means that I'm always going to be like that. But I would
Right.
say God is bigger than that, and God is stronger than that, and he can heal anyone of any kind of issue that's been in their past. It might look differently. It might be more difficult based on your perspectives. But I think, if you're wanting to avoid a label or something, then that's a legitimate thing. And call it what you want. You don't have to call it something if you don't want to call it something. But I think the question is not, like, are these words in the Bible? The question is, what does God have to say about this? And does God, can God meet me in whatever my past issues are? And am I going to surrender that to him and say, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with this? Can you direct my thinking, guide my thinking in these areas?
And I would only add to that psychology as a science has dramatically advanced and changed in the last 20 to 30 years, where many people have good reason to be suspicious because all they heard growing up about psychology was Sigmund Freud.
Sure.
And his like weird theories about the id, the ego, and the superego and such. Like, and people are like, what? And you lay on a couch and talk about your mom or whatever. So, okay, now we have evidence-based research tied to actual psychology, where we can look at things, and there's a ton of research on attachment theory.
Mm-hmm.
And there's little doubt that it's a thing.
Right. Yeah, there's okay, you have an issue in your life. There's always something spiritual behind it, and sometimes there's something physical behind it. So let's say, it's attachment theory. Let's say it's anxiety. Let's say it's depression. There's a spiritual aspect to all of those issues. And a lot of times there's a physical aspect as well. So, the goal of biblical counseling would be, okay, let's address these spiritual issues and see what that does first. And then let's see if there's some physical issues that we can address too. If there's some imbalances, if there's some trauma from your past, let's talk about those in light of it being a spiritual issue, and not just ignore one or the other, because you don't want it to become an excuse like, I'm crippled, this is the way that I am, and I'm never going to change, because God can change anyone, and that's like kind of why Jesus came, so that he could change us, so that he could sanctify us. And so just because something happened in your past doesn't mean that you're stuck there.
Erica Kurcsak. You just got that free of charge on Moody Radio, WCRF. It's 7:35. We're going to take a break. More follow-up Friday, though. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255.
Let's see. If something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
4 out of 3 people struggle.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
with our hearts and our minds. It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast
Erica
Family
struggled.
Foundation sponsored studio on Moody Radio Cleveland. Erica Kurcsak with us.
Flip the earphone the other way.
Oh, good morning. If I could get these headphones.
Brian, you're sitting right next to help her. You're right
It's more
next to
fun
her.
to watch her struggle. Erica Kurcsak in with us from Maranatha Bible Church. And one of my favorite things is when we have guests in that can't figure out the headphones. It can be complicated. We had a gal
still
once
struggling.
come in, and she was like, if you're watching the live stream, she was like,
No, she wasn't.
It was not
this.
quite that bad.
And her hair was all,
He's got one earphone on, the other's on top of his
Please, your
head.
glasses.
and the glasses on. And her
It
hair
wasn't
was all-
that.
It was a little bit like that.
The headphones were fine. The hair was a little
What happened was
cattywampus.
they fell off, and then
Yeah.
she panicked and put them on extremely hastily.
By the way, Ron, can we appreciate that Lauren just said cattywampus?
That is a good word. Yes.
I have with me this list of words that Ron had found for me. And
I
it's
almost
like
throw that away every single week. when
old-timey words.
Once a week, I wander to your desk, usually on Mondays.
Oh, look at here. Number 14 on the list of fun words. Cattywampus.
Okay, it is fun.
It's just not a very millennial thing to say, so thank you for that.
Sure.
I feel so much more at home today.
You're welcome.
You're not being cantankerous, which was number 13 on the list, which is also quite good. Anything that you would like to add, Ron?
Oh, I'm not looking at my list right now.
All these whippersnappers, huh, Ron?
True.
Yeah. Okay, follow-up Friday. You get to set the topic, 440-546-2255. We had a text with a new topic.
Can we talk about the rabbit holes Christians go down instead of making the main thing, knowing the gospel and walking in it? I have people in my life chasing new eschatologies every year.
Oh, gosh.
What does it mean, chasing new eschatologies every year?
Okay.
Brian?
Bible graduate.
I asked you first.
Eschatology.
Got him so good.
Gosh, got him. It's like end times.
Yeah, that's right.
Like as in Jesus' second coming, end times.
Yeah, so chasing new eschatologies every year would be, it's the Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
It's this.
Or
that.
even my
It's coming.
least favorite would be this. Let's grab a old-timey newspaper, for lack of a better example, and we're going to flip through the pages, and we're going to have all the end times prophecies in the Bible on your other hand, and you're going to try to do like a matching game.
Yeah.
Like, Iran did what? Oh, Daniel, here it is.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Right.
It's one of my least favorite things in life. It drives me nutty.
Or any time there's a new leader of any place, of any power whatsoever, say it to Christ.
Yeah.
Every leader, every time that there is one in any country.
We had
Christians
multiple
say it to Christ.
people in our texting email circles are like, the new pope's the Antichrist.
Nope.
This was
wrong.
before the new pope was even announced.
Mm-hmm. They said Ronald Reagan might be the Antichrist.
No,
because-
they didn't.
Yes.
Everybody.
Ronald
Everybody.
Wilson Reagan, 666. Proof. There it is.
I don't get why is that 6?
The
Six
letters.
letters
Six
in
letters.
each of his
Oh.
names.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Obviously, he wasn't.
And whenever I get wound up about this, Dr. Rydelnik from Moody Bible Institute has to dial me back a little bit because eschatology matters.
Yes.
Jesus is coming back,
Jesus is coming back,
and that's really important.
and he did give us little snippets of what that will be like, but he didn't give us the full, but he did give us little bits to be as prepared as you could be. Basically, all you can be prepared for is that Jesus is coming back.
But I feel like focusing on trying to figure out the math problem, the word problem, to figure out when everything's happening is totally missing the point.
Well, the Bible explicitly says that nobody knows. So I don't know why we spend so much time stressing and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And to me, he's coming back. So let's share the gospel and love our neighbor.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is the point.
Except we miss that. We have conferences and books that are just scaring people, and they're so obsessed with end times and the second coming of Christ that that's all they think about and talk about.
Yeah.
I think too about the exile of the Israelites. God said, you still need to kind of continue life as normal, have kids, get married, because you're going to be here a while. And I think that's relevant for a lot of Christians today. They're like, it's tomorrow. I'm just going to stop everything.
And if we think we're the only ones who did that, incorrect.
There have been many, many people that thought this was it over the course of 2,000 years since Jesus ascended.
She's got her Bible.
2 Thessalonians 2. Yeah, 2 Thessalonians 2, starting at verse 1. Now, dear brothers and sisters, let us clarify some things about the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and how we will be gathered to meet him. Do not be so easily shaken or alarmed by those who say that the day of the Lord has already begun. Don't believe them. Even if they claim to have had a spiritual vision, a revelation, or a letter supposedly from us, don't be fooled by what they say. For the day will not come until there is a great rebellion against God, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one who brings destruction. He will exalt himself and defy everything that people will call God and every object of worship. He will even sit in the temple of God, claiming that he himself is God. Don't you remember that I told you about all this when I was with you? And you know what is holding him back, that he can be revealed when his time comes. For this lawlessness is already at work secretly and will remain secret until the one who is holding it back steps out of the way. Then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord Jesus will kill him with the breath of his mouth and will destroy him by the splendor of his coming. Okay, so we were not the only ones. He goes on later to talk about the Thessalonians just stopped working.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
They just like,
stories.
well, Jesus is coming, so I'm just not going to do anything. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to tell the gospel. I'm not going to do anything because I'm just waiting for Jesus. That's in 2 Thessalonians.
He's like, guys, no.
When was this book written? Everyone, hold on.
Here we go. Buckle up. History.
I can't find it. Hold on. You know what? It's fine.
Paul's lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. 2 Thessalonians, okay? And they said, Jesus is coming. I'm going to stop working. Look at all this stuff. Look, it's obvious. Look at all these signs. It's so obvious. It's the second coming of Christ. And Paul says, no, we're not going to stop working. We're not going to stop telling the gospel because you don't know when he's coming. It's a secret. It's a secret, and you need to keep working. And don't be swayed. Don't be fooled. Don't start panicking and having chaotic things because you think it's the second coming of Christ. Just keep doing the work of the gospel.
And some people get annoyed by it, but I mean, when someone said, hey, Jesus, what's the most important thing? He didn't say eschatology. You've got to look at the newspaper. Just, I'm coming back and I'm giving you hints. Try to solve the puzzle. No, he said, love God, love your neighbor. And then people are like, okay, do I really have to love my neighbor? And he's like, let me tell you the craziest example you could ever possibly imagine. Parable of the Good Samaritan. You'd even have to love them.
Yes.
That's love everyone.
Paul says,
now go do that.
Let's clarify some things.
Oh, good. Yeah, Paul.
Don't be easily shaken or alarmed by those that say that the day of the Lord has begun. Don't believe them, even if they've claimed to have a spiritual vision, a revelation, or supposedly a letter from us. So.
Yeah, and so.
Don't be so panicked.
And
also, what's there to panic about? Jesus is coming. I'm actually excited. So. Why are you scared? I'm excited.
I'm glad he's delaying, though, because I want more people to know him and follow him. And that's supposed to be our heart condition. Now, that was one of the rabbit holes that I think Travis was the name of the guy that asked us to go down. Now, pick anything else. There's people who do that with the days of creation.
Yes.
There's people that do that with, I don't know what, Calvinism versus Arminianism.
Yep.
Stop doing that. Those issues matter, but they don't matter as much as the call of the Great Commission and the call for us to love God and love our neighbor. All those things are designed for us to go love other people so that they might follow Jesus. That's where the rabbit hole we should be in. That's not how you should phrase that.
It's not a rabbit hole. It's just the main thing.
That's the ground where the rabbit hole exists that you should be on.
The green pasture that you should be on.
Yes. Okay. We'll have to work on that. We're going to workshop that and be back in a few minutes here. It's Follow-Up Friday, 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support from our listeners and businesses like Fellowship Home Loans. They'll talk about the numbers as well as your hopes, dreams, and the market's reality. Home is where the heart is. It's where families grow and where dreams are born. More information is at 800-804-7283. That's 800-804-SAVE or fellowshiphomeloans.com. Welcome home.
Hello, Roland Warren here with your Pro-Abundant Life Minute. The pro-choice movement has long used language to mislead. Now they're pushing a new term, co-creation, rather than procreation to explain a woman's role in conception. Let's break it down. The prefix pro means for, while co means with. A procreator facilitates life, A co-creator actively creates life along with someone else. So, if a woman is a co-creator of life, she may believe that she has full control over it, just like an artist over a painting. But life isn't like that. We don't create sperm or eggs. God does. We are procreators entrusted with what He's made, with no right to destroy it. Let's not be deceived. Life is not a human creation. It's a sacred trust. For more pro-abundant life insights, visit care-net.org.
Brian's third grade teacher left us a voicemail.
Please record your message.
I always thought that Brian would be a circus performer or a radio host. At least I got one right.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
.55 WCRF. I have a personal issue I'd like to bring
Please do.
to the team since it's Follow-Up Friday, which means you can submit any topic you want, 440-546-2255. I'm not sure if I'm a bad uncle or not. And I would like you guys to evaluate whether or not I'm a bad uncle. It could be specifically or generally that whether I'm a bad uncle. Okay, so my nephew Sam, love this kid.
Yes.
He's a junior, my brother Jacob's son. Sam texted me. He doesn't text me often. And I was super excited.
I know,
I'm like,
it's very exciting.
Oh, my nephew Sam.
He thought about me.
He texted me.
Yeah.
I opened the text. It says, you have 24 hours.
Oh my gosh, she's playing a game.
And my actual first thought was there's so many different scary movies that have that scenario.
You're Liam Neeson now, obviously.
Like that scary movie, The Ring, which I don't recommend.
Oh.
There's something like once you see something, you have 24 hours.
Yeah.
7 days, but.
Isn't like Final Destination kind of like that?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't watch those.
I'm so busy reading my Bible, I haven't watched that one.
Oh.
And sarcasm font, by the way. So my first thought was, wait, is this him? Did someone get his phone? Someone stole his phone and they're going to murder me in 24 hours. Like, do I need to be nervous? What's happening? And it turns out, do you guys remember the ice bucket challenge?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like 2014 or 13 or something like that.
I think it was like the first challenge.
Yeah, there's lots of challenges.
Yeah, it really was the first viral internet challenge.
And now there's challenge for everything. And most of them are totally unsafe.
Yeah.
Many of them, yes.
So.
Oh, yeah, like we talked about all the ones on TikTok that they were like eating
Tide Pods.
The
cinnamon challenge that can actually send you to the hospital.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. And so, yeah, but anyway, so turns out that's back. And I started asking my kids, within a day, my kids are out with giant buckets, pouring buckets of ice water on each other.
While they film.
And I was like, oh, ALS, it's back. They're like, what? No, it's not for that.
No, it's different this time.
It's suicide awareness and prevention. I forget the specific company. There's like a company maybe? I don't know.
So it's a different like organization or foundation doing it this time.
Yeah, but it's also similar to that to the last time, as in most people are in it for the ice bucket, not for ALS.
Yes, exactly.
Now ALS, there was a lot of money raised,
sure,
which was awesome, but there should have been a lot more based on how many people did the ice bucket thing. Now here's my deal. I don't like being wet or cold, okay? I don't accept challenges. Like people will be like, I dare you to do this. And I go, no. And they think I should be motivated somehow by a dare. I'm not. If I don't want to do that,
I'm just not doing it.
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So my nephew, it was you have 24 hours to, and I went and watched his little video he made of getting ice water dumped in his head.
Which is kind of cute though, Brian.
It's really sweet because, like beforehand, I now nominate before I get
he
doused. Brian Dolan, blah, 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 and other people who don't matter.
Yeah.
And
you're the only one that matters, obviously.
And I just didn't do it.
Yeah, you need to do it.
It was too late.
Why?
This was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, I didn't do it.
The time's
statute
up.
of limitations have expired.
Yes.
Now, I'm asking this strategically to you guys because you and Daria, I will do
anything if my nieces or nephews text me.
Lauren and Daria say to everything I ask them to do, no.
You're not my cute, sweet 6-year-old niece. I'll do anything that she asks me to do.
No.
Colleague.
No, you're not. And I will do anything that she asks me. Anything.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
Right? If your grandkids or like your nieces or nephew, I would do like literally anything.
They live in Minnesota.
It's a video.
He's trying to connect with you across a great distance.
Sarah was like, oh, you could give it to Daria. You could do it and give it to Daria. And Daria could put it on the internet.
I agreed to do it if you would do it.
So don't even start blaming this on Daria or Sarah. This is a you problem.
Hold on. You guys, shh. Erica Kurcsak.
Yes.
Would you do this? If you have lots of nieces and nephews.
I do.
Lots.
I have 21.
Oh, boy.
Would you let them dump ice on you if they wanted to do an ice bucket challenge?
Well, my daughter did the ice bucket challenge.
She did it?
Because her friends nominated her. Yeah.
Anyone nominate you?
No, she did not nominate me.
Would you? See, you're avoiding it. Look at you. You're a psychologist. Would you do it if you were challenged?
Yes. But honestly, I don't know if I would have done it if my daughter hadn't done it first. So kudos to her.
Ron, come on, Ron.
No, Ron already said.
Yeah, I would do it. I mean, not just randomly like walking in the store, hey, would you do the ice bucket challenge? I challenge you.
Right.
But if I had time to set it up at home, I've got a towel and dry clothes waiting for me.
If it helps, he's not a cute little nephew. He's a young man. He's a junior in high school.
And
he's
neither
wanting
are
to
you.
connect with you.
Yeah.
No, I think he wants me to be wet and cold.
That's how nephews and uncles connect.
That's how they connect.
Stop saying I'm a bad uncle. Tell me I'm a
asked.
good uncle.
Well, I don't have proof of the other, so I just have the one story.
But now it's too. I've thought about this a few times now since I just didn't do it. I was busy.
You thinking about it.
I'm feeling guilty.
You know your answer.
I'm feeling guilty about it. It's too late.
Well, maybe
the
you got to send
24
it out
hours
too
is
late.
guideline.
Not a law. You're
Well, I think the challenge is over, though.
People are still doing it, I'm sure.
Are they, though?
I saw Jamie Buxton's son do it, like maybe last week.
Come on, guys.
Maybe you need to do something for him.
Like what?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's coming to town this summer. I can dump a bucket of ice water on him.
You won't be able to look him in the eye unless
Yeah, I
you've
know.
done
You
it.
better do it.
No, I'm a Christian. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me?
So you admit there was something to forgive.
But there's not. Is that a sin to not want an ice bucket?
But you hurt his feelings.
Daria.
And his feelings are valid.
Well, it's news time. We got to go. Bye.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The U.S. and the U.K. are announcing a new trade deal. It's 8:02. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. President Trump made the announcement at the White House yesterday. Trump said the U.S. is also working on trade deals with other countries. The Cuyahoga County Board of Health is issuing a public health alert. The board reports that an unvaccinated child who has the measles was at the Hillcrest Hospital atrium lobby between 3:50 p.m. and 6:15 p.m. on May the 2nd. Anyone else who was in the lobby at that time or who does not have measles immunity is advised to quarantine at home for 21 days. Video of two Akron police officers arresting a man earlier this week is gaining attention online. The officers confronted an assault suspect who reportedly tried to run when officers ordered him to the ground. The video shows the suspect on the ground with police punching him as they try to put handcuffs on him. In sports, the Cavaliers tip off against the Pacers in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals tonight, trailing the best-of-7 series 0-2. The Browns and Steelers kick off their rookie minicamps today. We should learn a lot as these progress. Meantime, the Pirates fired their manager, Derek Shelton. Bench coach Don Kelly will take over managerial duties. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Sunny today with highs in the upper 50s. And at last check, clear skies and 44 degrees in Cleveland. Mostly cloudy and 40 degrees, Akron and Canton. Clear skies over Lorain and Elyria where it's 43 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
The National Association of Letter Carriers is holding their annual Stamp Out Hunger Drive this month. Postal carriers will be collecting donations of non-perishable food items. Those who would like to contribute are asked to place a sturdy bag containing shelf-stable foods near their mailbox before the mail runs on Saturday. Collections will go to local outreaches like the Haven of Rest in Akron and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings
with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3.
WCRF. Just kidding. It was like Pastor Mike Jr. or something. Yeah. Mornings with Brian, WCRF. It's follow-up Friday. That means you get to set the tone and the topic, 440-546-2255. In studio all morning, the brilliant Erica Kurcsak.
Good morning.
Maranatha Bible Church, where she's not on staff. Her husband's a pastor there.
Staff adjacent.
Yeah, she's staff, but she runs the Grace and Beauty ministry there.
Well, I help run the Grace and Beauty ministry.
I knew she'd say that. I just show up.
You were one of the founders.
She writes curriculum for it. No big deal. And she does a bunch of other things. She's got a master's in biblical counseling, and she's just all around awesome. So I want to revisit a topic this week as well that came up. We were talking with Eva Rydelnik about the Proverbs 31 woman. And I think a lot of Christians, whether or not they're women, think of this kind of like a checklist.
Yeah.
So Erica Kurcsak.
Yes.
I've got the Bible open right here. We're going to do this as a checklist. Have you ever have you ever found wool and flax, Erica?
Have I found it?
Yeah, found.
Yes, she finds wool and flax.
Found.
No.
Okay. Did you ever busily spin wool and flax?
No.
It can't be just lazily spin. Spinning doesn't count. No?
No.
Have you brought your food in from afar, like compared to a merchant ship? So this is not like going to Aldi. You're really going to go find your food.
Yeah, no.
Have you ever inspected a field?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
Planted a vineyard?
Planted a garden.
I feel so bad for your husband. Like you are, okay. Do you ever, are your hands ever busy spinning thread?
No.
Okay, how about an easy one? Twisting fiber.
What does that even
mean?
Have
you ever made your own bedspread?
No.
Oh.
It actually says she makes her own bedspread. Okay, then this one, I know you did this
Is
one.
that different from making the bed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or making
I
the bed
make
from
my bed.
scratch?
Yeah, making the bed is not enough. Proverbs 31 women actually make the bed spread.
You weave it.
Now, this has got to be you. Dresses in fine linen and purple gowns. You have to have a purple gown.
I do not.
You don't have a purple gown?
I don't have a purple gown.
You don't homeschool in a purple gown?
Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun.
How dare you? You hate dresses.
I do, but to think about teaching your kids in a purple gown at home.
Good morning, children. There I am in my purple gown.
Attention, class.
Okay, is your husband well known at the city gates?
I'm sure he is. No,
he is.
I don't know.
Where he sits with the other civic leaders. Is he hobnobbing
No.
with the mayor?
At the mayor's office?
No.
City council?
No.
Oh, no. Well, you heard it here on Moody
Fail.
Radio. Erica Kurcsak, not a Proverbs 31
Why
woman.
did you even ask me here today?
Now, I'm doing the ridiculous version of this, but there are women who read this like it's an instruction manual. And that's crippling. So you obviously, I think, are a Proverbs 31 woman. But how could you possibly say that when you just failed my checklist?
It's okay. I failed too on Wednesday.
Well, I think it's about the character of the woman, not the actions of the woman.
See? Erica Kurcsak. That's Lauren said the same thing, basically. What did you say again, Lauren, earlier this week?
I said a lot of stuff.
No, about this.
You were spitting gold.
Yeah, Stan texted us and said, that Lauren's spitting gold. Fire.
Well, during...
Something about character.
Yeah. This is more about the character of the wife, not the specific actions. They're giving you examples of actions that this woman took in her day and time. But it's about her character, how she holds herself, how she cares for her family. There's something in here. I'm not going to go and find the specific verse, but she wakes up early and makes breakfast for her kids. I don't do that. You know why? Because I'm here.
Actually, it's the household. So Eddie would be part of that.
Right. I'm here.
Eddie, here is your bacon.
So there is a verse. It's Proverbs 31, verse 26. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. And so during the break last week, what I said to you was, there's a lot of women who are unkind to their husbands. And there's a lot of excuses for that. He doesn't uphold his end. He is messy. He leaves his undies and socks laying around. He spits on the mirror when he brushes his teeth. He leaves the lid up. And so then a lot of wives think that that gives them the authority and it gives them reason to be unkind to their husbands and speak unkindly to them. And though, yes, your husband should be treating you with respect and taking care of your household, that doesn't give you the opportunity to speak unkindly, because what God calls you to, obviously, as a Proverbs 31 wife, is to speak kindly and with wisdom over your household. Doesn't matter. It doesn't say, if your husband doesn't leave the lid open, then speak to him with kindness. If your husband is nice to you, then speak to him with kindness. If your husband, wakes up early and goes and mows the lawn every time that you don't ask him to, but you thought about it, then you get to speak to him with kindness. It doesn't give you that. It just says, speak with kindness and wisdom.
Now, Daria is an entirely different generation. Is this a thing for Gen Z women too? Have you ever heard Gen Z women annoyed at their husbands and talking about how like being unkind and stuff?
I'm sure it happens. It's hard because so many of us are still unmarried, but I do know that a lot of them are frustrated that their husbands don't pick up after themselves. I've never heard anyone say like that's an excuse to be unkind. I think it's just the frustration bubbles over because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So even though this is not biblical, it does make it harder for them to be kind when he's not helping the upkeep of the house.
I think there's like the stereotype of a wife who is nagging.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, sometimes stereotypes are blown out of proportion, but they come from somewhere, because there is enough of it happening that it becomes a stereotype that wives nag their husbands or are unkind or are being rude to him at home or saying snide remarks to him or talking rudely about him to their friends when they get together.
Erica Kurcsak?
Mm-hmm.
Is this resonating with you, or you think Lauren's from some other planet?
No, I think she's right. I think women are always looking for an excuse to blame someone else. I mean, it's human nature. And I think a lot of times we're just caught up in the day-to-day busyness that we're not actually thinking about how we're speaking.
Yep.
And that sometimes words are just coming out and we haven't really thought about it, and we haven't thought about how does that come across to my husband? What is his perspective on this? And yeah, maybe he's not holding up his end of the deal, but isn't that what Scripture tells us, like that we're supposed to live a godly life in front of our husbands? And I think that's talking about unbelieving husbands, but the principle is still the same, that we're to be kind and upright in our behavior to show him what Christ is like if he's not following that way.
Well, we're also supposed to love our enemies. And I really hope you're not thinking of your husband as your enemy, but he'll do things that really make you mad. You still got to love him through it and be kind to him through it.
And one of the oddities, and I think Ron and I have talked about this before, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, well-adjusted Christian men, I'm not saying every man, but well-adjusted Christian men, one of their deep desires is that their wife be happy.
Yes.
They would love for their wife to be pleased. And many of them are perplexed and frustrated because it feels as if no matter what they do, there's something new that she's dissatisfied with. Why are you laughing?
Because usually I'm the reason why she's dissatisfied. I may get out and mow the yard and that would make her happy, but I leave my, as Lauren says, socks and undies around or something. And so
there was always something.
Yeah.
And you're many times thinking, what could I do that would help my wife? Because I love her.
Yeah, I try.
And so it's that odd cycle, right? Like there are some marriages where she's consistently unkind because she's so frustrated with him. And he's trying to do things that would make her pleased, and it's not working. And there's this cycle going on.
Yeah, and I think like Erica said, most women are not intentionally speaking with unkindness. It's the overwhelm and the chaos and the fast-moving pace of our lives with kids, taking care of the house, taking care of all of your family's needs, that it's just you're like kind of running on fumes sometimes. And even if you're running on fumes, that doesn't give an excuse to be unkind to someone. God calls you to kindness, and you have to rely on his kindness to you. Because don't have any left sometimes at the end of the day. I don't have any kindness left. And the only way I'm going to be kind and use wisdom in the words that I say to my husband and to my children, we also have to be kind to our children, even though a lot of us like to speak through gritted teeth to our children. I have to find kindness in Christ because I can't find it in myself. And that's the point, is here in Proverbs 31, is that you can only speak through kindness being a woman of God. Because there are times at the end of the day you don't have any left.
I appreciate you, all of you, sharing your thoughts on this because, as Ron and I have discussed over the years on the show, there tends to be a cultural phenomena of men are idiots, and if they would just step it up, families would be doing better. And there's very little reciprocal, like, ladies, here's something you could do better. Like, if I were to suggest that by myself on the radio, I might be canceled. Because women are doing great. They don't do anything wrong. Are you kidding me? They're perfect,
Right.
Ron, aren't they?
The typical sitcom.
Yeah.
The man is a buffoon and the woman is the one, she kind of shirks and goes, well, here he goes again.
What an idiot.
In my experience, men are often juggling background tasks that their wives are not even aware of. I see this with my husband all the time. He's thinking 12 steps ahead, worrying about, this, that, and the other. Hadn't even crossed my mind, but he's carrying all this himself.
Yeah, I'm usually juggling what snack I'm going to eat next.
Well, it's
Ron, you're caring for the pool, you're caring for the yard, you're doing your woodworking.
Cutting down trees illegally. Cutting your thumb, yeah. It's 8:20. We're up against a break here on WCRF. When we come back, we got some comments earlier in the week about this issue of wives and kindness in Proverbs 31 women. You're welcome to join the discussion. Push back if you'd like. 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from businesses across the country, like Fellowship Home Loans. Whether purchasing or refinancing a home, Mike and Brian walk hand in hand with clients through the whole process. You can learn more about their approach to mortgage lending at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Claire from Trinity Debt Management. I'm a counselor, and the reason that I love working for Trinity is because I get to help folks with one of the hardest problems a family can face, and that's financial difficulties. In this day and age, everything is going up. You have higher utilities, higher grocery bills, higher fuel, and those credit card interest rates have gone up as well. We can help you with that. We can help you get lower interest rates, lower monthly payments. In just a few minutes, we put together a plan that gets you out of debt and keeps you out of debt. I love my job. It's a great program and a very smart way to find debt relief.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838.
I'm Claire, a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-659-9838.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from North Coast Family Foundation, helping families by providing a foundation for emotional and spiritual health through biblical counseling. More information is at northcoastfamily.com. That's northcoastfamily.com.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
8:22 WCRF Follow-Up Friday, where you get to set the tone and the topic. Erica Kurcsak from Maranatha Bible Church in with us. Thanks again, Erica, for coming in today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Maybe her kids are awake by now.
I think so.
Hey, guys. It's your favorite show.
That's
Love
a
you
bold
guys.
claim.
There was one of the cutest pictures when I was compelled to shave my beard for a dare from Dave Safransky. They were all crowded around watching it.
Yes, we had the live stream pulled up. Yeah.
It was so cute. The cutest thing ever. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, we've been chatting about the idea of a Proverbs 31 woman came up this week with Eva Rydelnik, who was answering questions on Michael's behalf. And Lauren brought up the idea of, actually a lot of women struggle to fulfill the principle of Proverbs 31, which is, one of them is kindness. She's kind to her family, her husband and her children. And we chatted about that. So here was one comment I'd like to get your reaction to, team. Somebody said, I agree with both points. Don't remember which they were. But anyway, I think that there does need to be a revolution for husbands and men in this country. I unfortunately have lots of friends whose husbands spend hours on video games, don't know how to change a light bulb, and spend money they don't have on themselves or their image. It makes it hard for a wife to give respect to a husband who doesn't deserve it. There's a lot there.
First of all, everyone deserves the base amount of respect. I genuinely can't think of something someone could do in which you could say this person gets no respect. I genuinely can't think of one. To the other point, though, I have seen this, not with my own husband, but with other men that I know. And I know we don't like to hear this, but I do think a lot of it goes back to how they were raised. Not all the time, but I do think there are a lot of moms out there who raise little boys and they don't raise men. Like, I have a lot of respect and admiration for my mother-in-law. She has 3 boys, no daughters. And she said from day one, it was in my mind that I'm raising these boys for their future wives. I want them to be respectful and competent and be able to do basic tasks around the house.
Now, this person's comment sounded like it painted such a harsh picture. But you're saying, in some sense, you've seen something like this. What does this look like? Can you give a fictitious kind of, like, what is this guy doing?
So just kind of a stereotype would be someone a man who's just completely unwilling to help around the house, he has a ton of free time, whether it's video games or some other hobby. Meanwhile, his wife is stretched to the breaking point, whether or not they have kids, because the responsibility of the entire house is on her shoulders, and she's very frustrated and very burnt out.
So what she's depicting isn't made up.
No,
it does exist.
I have a couple people that, obviously I'm not going to say their names, but come to mind.
Now, but to break this down, I've got to bring this one up. Husbands spend hours on video games. Lauren?
Yes.
Has your husband ever spent hours on video games?
Yes.
But this doesn't fit him at all, this description, other than that.
No.
Like, people have turned video games because...
Yeah, video games are Satan. Yeah.
And, like, men don't play video games. Is that true?
In what way do you mean?
Well,
like real men don't play video games.
Real men shouldn't be playing video games.
Yeah,
is what
because
you're saying.
in the olden days when we had like Nintendos and things, that was for the children.
Yes.
Men are like mowing the lawn, lifting weights, camping, punching, playing football. They are not playing video games.
My husband cares for our household. He cares for our children, and he plays video games.
Would you say that it's in a different category now? It's not just child's play?
Yeah, he plays video games after our kids are already asleep. So it's not like he's shirking any responsibilities. And he has stayed deeply connected with friends and siblings through video games. He has deep personal conversations with friends through video games. If I'm like hanging out in the room with him, I can hear him talking to his friends, and they're talking about life. They're talking about what happened in their week or their day, and they're doing life together because they live far away. Mm-hmm. He'll play video games with 2 of his siblings because they all live in different places. One's here, one's in Kansas City, one's in Chicago, and they play video games together to stay connected. And they talk, they laugh, they have fun, but in between those moments, they're talking about what's going on in their lives. So it's not that they're like wasting and rotting their brains. He's staying connected with people.
Yeah, my husband there's 2 specific online friends that he's actually never met in person, but he'll consider them friends because they've spent so much time together on games. But he's really trying to help these people solve some life problems. It's a couple that's living together, and he's trying to counsel them through that and they're not saved, and he's trying to find a door for that.
And I think, like Daria said, it doesn't matter if they are rotting away on video games. That doesn't mean you get to disrespect him or be unkind to him. There is no anywhere in Scripture that says, if they're doing this, then you get to be mean.
But it's really hard, though, Lauren. And sometimes someone needs to kind of...
Yeah, the Christian life is hard.
Kind of like shake
Being
him
like Jesus is hard.
Shake him with harshness to get him to do what he's supposed to do. Come on.
Most people don't react to harshness. They just don't.
But what if he's really lazy?
They react to kindness and love and support. That's what people react to.
But you haven't met my husband, someone's saying, Lauren. He's really lazy.
Yeah, and most likely, nagging makes it worse. And unkindness makes it worse. It doesn't make him want to do things. It doesn't make him want to take part in the family responsibilities if you're going to be unkind.
Now, when this woman texted us, she also indicated, she said that many women's husbands don't know how to change a light bulb. I think what she was saying is they're not handy.
They don't do things around the house.
Now, here's my challenge. My dad, I love him. Like, he loves Jesus. I think he represents manhood very well. The dude has like a toolbox, and it's if the thing in the toolbox can't solve the problem he has, he can't do it.
So calling somebody.
And in there is like, I'm not kidding, like maybe a box cutter, a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and a hammer. And he essentially is like, Dollins call experts. That's what we do.
I love that.
Like, we don't fix
so
it.
Hilarious.
We call someone else to do it. Car's broken. He has no idea what to do. No idea.
That doesn't mean he doesn't deserve respect.
It doesn't mean he's not taking good care of his household in other ways. I mean, men are skilled in different ways. Just like women are skilled in different ways, and one woman might keep, going to stereotypical gender norms. One woman might keep her house really well in this way, but not so much in another, and another woman, it might be the opposite. I mean, that they're not, I don't think, any less manly. And also, for the record, it's not their fault. Probably not, because that was on their parents to teach them.
Yeah, and I mean, I've learned how to do a bunch of things around the house only because my dad didn't work in nonprofit ministry, and so he could afford to call the experts.
Right.
Right.
So, but I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes him less of a man that he calls a plumber.
No.
Or goes to the car mechanic. I mean, I'm sure Pastor Nathan Kurcsak,
he can do everything.
He's fixing your cars every day, I'm sure.
Well, Kurcsaks tend to not pay for something that they could do themselves, typically.
Oh.
So you figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Boy, he really is a man.
Brandy texted in, and she said, that texter's comments also sound like a performance-based marriage, when us as believers should be operating from a grace-based marriage. We love our husbands based off the way we have received love from the Lord. I think if we approach love that way, we wouldn't feel like our husbands need to be a certain way to receive our love and respect.
Also, the performance-based marriage, I think, typically just goes one way. I mean, can you imagine just the collective outrage if a man said, my wife is a terrible cook, so I guess I just get a pass on loving her well.
I get to be mean to her because she doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah, the woman can't sew on a button? What kind of woman is she?
I can't sew.
I'm scared that I said that out loud and someone's going to get mad at me. You can say these things, Daria. Sorry. You keep saying those things about women. I'm not going to. Yeah, I think that part of this Proverbs 31 woman thing could be connected to even a bad depiction of manhood. Like this woman, God bless her, has no idea what biblical manhood is. If she's describing it as doesn't play video games and changes light bulbs. Does that make you a biblical man? Come on, really? And then also she's depicting womanhood as you can nag him into submission, essentially.
He's going to shut down.
Yeah. My response would be, I couldn't imagine being married to one of your friends. That would be horrible, ma'am. A woman who's consistently dissatisfied with everything he does and his lack of ability in certain areas. It sounds like if you were to list, if your friends were to list talents of their husbands, they'd write not applicable. None. That is depressing. So, hey, there's, I'm sure, much more to cover in this, but we got to take a break. 440-546-2255. It's Follow-Up Friday on WCRF.
Today, there is a disciple-making church planting movement that's taken root in 40 countries around the world. It's called the Timothy Initiative, and its mission is to see a healthy church planted in every village, everywhere. Since 2007, over 200,000 churches have been planted through the work of the Timothy Initiative, but there's more work to be done. Take your place in the Timothy Initiative. Go to ttiglobal.org.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
have to journey alone. It's Follow-Up Friday. All morning with us has been our friend and genius of a woman.
Oh my gosh.
Erica
wow.
Kurcsak.
Wow. It's
Erica
escalating.
Kurcsak.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no,
She's an expert and now she's a genius.
I've been excited to have you here. I call you brilliant off the air all the time, and we've been trying to get you to fill in for one of our Friday people for a while, and now you did.
Here I am.
And all of us are better for it.
Oh, thanks.
We've been talking about Proverbs 31 women, what it really means, and there's been a number of people who ultimately are kind of like, yeah, but what if my husband is kind of a bum and a loser, or I'm unhappy with him? Then I don't have to do that, right? Essentially is what it is, right?
Yeah, that is kind of what they're saying.
So we've had some text messages come in. Would love to hear from you, 440-546-2255.
Okay, but if a man says his wife doesn't do anything around the house, we'd have a problem with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, we would. And so I guess is the person trying to say, so that therefore women can have a problem with it and treat them poorly? No.
I think this is in my response to me saying that if a man was complaining about his wife's cooking as a reason to not respect or love her, that would be a problem. Because the double standard is, a woman can complain about how lazy her husband is, and we had someone that said, well, they don't deserve respect if they're lazy. Both those are problems, and both genders being lazy is also a problem.
And both the husband or the wife being unkind to one another is not okay.
No.
Men don't get a pass because they don't have a Proverbs 32 about the Proverbs 32 man. We don't get out of being kind.
Yeah, you go to like Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, and see all of the requirements of a husband loving his wife. Even if your wife doesn't keep a tidy house, you still have to follow Ephesians 5. And then it goes the other way. Even if your husband doesn't mow the lawn and he spits on the mirror, you still have to talk to him with kindness and wisdom.
I want to ask about the spitting on the mirror. That's come up a few times.
No, I'm just
do you need to share something?
No, my husband doesn't do that. If anyone does it, it's me. So
I mean, we have spit all over the mirror.
We do too, but it's
I don't
usually
know what
my
my kids are doing.
I'm just giving like
licking the mirrors
stereotypical. What do you get mad about? Leaving underwear, leaving the seat up. Oh, I fell in the toilet. Like, okay.
I mean,
turn the light on.
Yeah.
I leave the counter all wet somehow, and I've tried to get better at it. Sarah gets frustrated by it, so I've been trying to get better at it. But my kids brush their teeth like this. And it goes like all over the mirror. I don't know what it is. So
the person that texted in said, we still have to treat people with love and respect, but it's okay to point out that there's a problem, and there needs to be a behavior change is my point.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're right on that, but it's all about approach.
Yes.
I think if you've got a chronic issue, it's totally okay to, with love and respect, say, hey, honey, would you please go to marriage counseling with me? Because there's some disconnect, some miscommunication. We're just not understanding each other.
Yeah. And my point about kindness is if he's doing all these things, we as wives don't get to say, you never do this and you never do that and you can't ever keep the bathroom clean. You can't ever put the lid up and you can't put your underwear away and you put your socks everywhere. You don't get to do that. You say, hey, I just cleaned the bathroom 2 days ago, and when you leave all of your things out, it makes me feel like you don't appreciate my work in cleaning the bathroom.
I like that.
Could you please help me by keeping the bathroom clean?
Well, I think that's a really important point too, because usually it's not just the fact of the bathroom. It's I feel unappreciated.
Right.
There's typically when there's some kind of argument, there's something deeper. It's not about the toothpaste. It's not about the underwear on the floor. There's something else inside that you are feeling disrespected, or something about the person that you're frustrated with on a deeper level. And I think talking about it in that way gives you opportunity and space to talk about what the deeper issue is. Mm-hmm. Or if your spouse is the one coming at you, you can say, I would apologize for my part, but then also say, what's really going on? Because it seems like there might be something else behind this. It might be, maybe you're frustrated about something else. Like, let's talk about this. I don't want you to feel that way.
Yeah.
And kind of get to the root of it.
Or you don't feel seen, that like your work of cleaning the house or keeping whatever tidy you feel like your husband doesn't see it. Mm-hmm. And so it's coming out in these ways.
And as Sarah and I have learned over the years too, the next layer of this becomes who gets to set the standard. As in, just because you prefer something doesn't mean that's the way to do it. Nor does it mean it needs to get done. Like, your husband may have a preference that's different than yours, and you don't get to have your preference trump his. Now, there are things like you're saying that are respect issues. But like, for example, there is not one way to fold towels. I'm sorry. And there is not one way to put, like, some people put dishes on the counter. Mm-hmm. Some people put them in the sink.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide which one is right?
I think you just like do what your spouse prefers. I don't know.
But
I think
some people
can both work to, do what the other spouse finds more helpful.
I like Lauren's story where Eddie likes you to open the bathroom window to prevent mold when you shower.
Yes, our bathroom fan's not great. She's on her last life. And so my husband likes me to open the window to let the steam out so it doesn't get trapped because the fan's not the best.
But then the shower's miserable in the cold air.
Yeah.
But you love Eddie that much.
Yeah,
Proverbs 31,
I'm not doing
Lauren.
it in February.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
you.
it in February. But
You'll draw the line there. That's the compromise we've come up with.
But now I'm going to take a risk.
And he got me a towel warmer, so he's helping me.
I'm going to take a risk and say something, and you guys can attack me for this if you want. I'm giving you permission. I'm just going to tiptoe in and say, I think there tends to be a wife tendency to believe she gets to set all the standards that men must follow in the home.
I think so.
Oh, gosh.
And while
I was nervous.
no, I think you're right.
I'm not talking about Sarah. I'm not talking about Sarah in this. This is where I always feel bad for my wife because I'm playing the role of devil's advocate here. My wife is incredible. So I'm not talking about her, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, we can talk about how maybe that shouldn't be, which I do think there needs to be some compromise. I've kind of talked about the struggle Jimmy and I had when we first got married, trying to figure out the housework and divvy that up. But I do think there's a reason for that. And it's because women are just, for generations, we've been expected to be the ones taking care of the house, whether or not we work. And so we take that very personally. We think a messy house reflects on us. So I think, and I'm speaking for myself here as well, I think we do get a little worked up about it because it's been so tied to our identity for so long.
And I also do think it's okay, whoever oversees that area of the house, like if I do the dishes in my house, that's my job, then I think it's okay to ask my husband, hey, since I do the dishes, could you please put them how I prefer them? Because I'm the one that's doing them. If he's not doing them, then it really shouldn't matter to him where they are because he's not doing them.
That makes tons of sense. And actually, I have one of my favorite philosophical debates is the toilet seat.
Yeah, leaving it up or down.
Yeah, like, why can't you look before you sit? What human being would remove clothing and without looking sit on something?
Sit down.
I've never understood the people that say they go to the bathroom in the dark. I mean, like, I understand you don't want to fully wake yourself up.
You got to keep your eyes like this.
If my feet are on the
closed.
floor, I'm awake. It doesn't matter if the lights are on or off. But like, turn the bathroom light. I mean, I'm very happy that Jimmy does close the lid and all that. But yeah, you can turn the light on.
Now, if I leave it up, you have to put it down. So I have to put it down so that I have to put it back up again. Like, somebody has to move it.
Right.
Why do I have to move it? Why can't you move it? Now, again, Sarah and I don't have this debate, so leave my wife alone. But philosophically, there is no logical way to say whether it's supposed to be up or down.
Well, I worry. So our toilet's really close to our sink. If we left it up, I would be worried that something would fall in, specifically my toothbrush.
Oh, that's happened to me before. Stuff's fallen in.
Well, couldn't you put your toothbrush somewhere else?
But that's where we put it. I'm right-handed. It goes on the right hand.
You don't know
side.
how
Oh,
their
that's
bathrooms
where
worked out.
we put our tooth. Oh, I forgot about the. Let me write that down. Toothbrush belongs right next to the toilet.
It's on the right-hand side of the sink. Jimmy and I are both right-handed. It makes sense.
I put my toothbrush as far away from the toilet as I can in the bathroom.
But in your bathroom, Brian, your sink is right next to your toilet.
Yeah.
And so she's saying, like, at your house, if they put it on the left-hand side, it could fall right in.
And so, but I'm just being silly. I understand why you're saying that, and that makes total sense. It's logical. But in principle, the idea of whether it belongs up or down, there is no correct answer to this.
Yeah.
And again, I still would advocate for I wonder about the person who in the dark sits down with their pants off without looking.
That's on you, dude.
Who does that?
I know someone who does that.
Ron?
You?
Well, no.
Someone in your house?
I probably could, but yes, someone in my household.
I mean, like in
if Dana's
Australia,
falling in the toilet, Ron, close the lid. Don't let her fall
She
in.
just had knee replacement surgery.
That is why I submit to her out of love and respect.
But you don't hear all
If
the
it's a
stories.
problem, you gotta close it. She's falling in.
You haven't heard these stories about snakes in toilets, rats, bugs.
Oh, one time, my sister, she was probably in middle school, went to the bathroom, lifted the lid. There was a bloated squirrel in the toilet.
Wow. So it had been there a while.
Yeah. Ew.
So again, can we look? Who closes their eyes to do anything that's vulnerable?
If I'm waking up at 1 a.m., I really just would like to stay as asleep as possible.
Right.
I don't want to be...
Do you sometimes like half open your eyes?
Yes,
just to,
exactly.
Like,
I don't want to be...
simulate sleep?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Why does that work?
I don't know. I don't want the lights to bother me. I want to go right back to sleep. I have such a hard time falling asleep. It's really bothersome to have to fall back asleep at 1 a.m.
I really want to know why that works, though. Because it does work.
I don't know if it does, really.
No, if you go...
Just keep your eyes closed.
quickly and like keep your eyes mostly closed.
I came out running to the bathroom.
You're not running, but you're focused. You're in, you're out. Your eyes are mostly closed.
Mm-hmm.
You're going back to the exact same position, and somehow that works.
I don't know.
But it does.
Right. So you're advocating for closing the lid because people go to the bathroom with their eyes closed. Got him.
No, you did not get me.
Got him so good.
No, I
Put the
reject
seat
that.
down.
I reject that. 8:47, a little bit more coming up.
Moody Radio's thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com. There are many ways to say,
I love you, Mom. I love you, Mommy. I love you, Mom.
we have an idea. Enter our Moments with Mom contest for a chance to give your mom, mother figure, or yourself a $550 gift package, a gift certificate for a day at the spa, and a $100 gift card to a variety of restaurants will go to a mother who reflects the love of Christ. Go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland or text MOM to 440-546-2255. We'd love to help you say,
I love you, Mom.
Have you read God's Word today? Here's help. Download the new and improved Today in the Word app and answer a daily invitation to connect with God. Explore brand new features and resources to help you grow in your walk and share the gospel with friends and family. Read or listen to each day's devotional with new audio features and keep track of your progress in the new devotional calendar.
Download the all-new app at todayintheword.org or in your app store.
4 out of 5 scuba diving pizza delivery men recommend listening to Mornings with Brian. The other one says Brian's humor is a little too cheesy for his taste. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
8:49, almost time for our Friday song, Cleveland's own Jason Champion, and Are You Ready? It's Follow-Up Friday, where we've been allowing you and us to set the topic for what we discussed for today, whether it's review or not. We've had Erica Kurcsak with us all morning from Maranatha Bible Church, where she runs the Grace and Beauty Ministry, and she's just an all-around genius that we love, a wonderful human being, and our families are friends, and so we just love having her here. I'm so excited you're here.
Thanks.
We've been chatting about all things tied to husbands, wives, Proverbs 31, and disagreements about right ways to do things. And Erica had, no surprise, something profound in the break.
She's a genius.
What did you say? Do you think it's
I think as I've been listening to this discussion, I think it comes down to the issue of selfishness in terms of like we just all want our rights. You know, you're asking who's responsible to set the standard of what's right and wrong as far as how the dishes go, how the toilet seat goes, how the laundry goes. And rather than trying to figure out like, okay, this one's your job, this one you get to have, and like, I don't know, the Lord calls us to lay down our own rights in order to serve someone else. So these battles we're trying to fight to figure out who gets to decide what is, I don't know, I think we're fighting for our rights, and that's not exactly how God called us to be as husbands and wives. So part of that kindness to my husband would be, okay, this is how you want things, we'll go along with that. And then for him, he has the same responsibility. If this is how you want things, we'll do it that way. So rather than clinging to what do I deserve and you're not giving me what I deserve,
that's not going to lead anywhere good. You're going to have a negative feeling towards your spouse when you have that kind of approach.
And I think the biggest challenge for us as Christians is finding areas of our life in which we haven't applied the gospel. Because we can love Jesus and follow him very well and have areas like this where we're missing it. Because it really is the basic biblical principle of love your neighbor and consider others more important than yourself. We're always looking for a yeah, but. Yeah, but he's annoying, or he plays video games, or whatever. There's no yeah, but that gives you a reason to not be biblical, not to be Christ-like. Did I ask you if we had comments to share? I forget now that we're doing follow-up.
You did.
Friday.
Oh, nothing, just like some funny stories of falling in toilets. And
So, bottom line, I'm right about looking before you sit.
Well, yeah.
I look on a chair before I sit down. Like, am I about to sit on a pile of chocolate and I'm going to be embarrassed the rest of the day? Is there a bug on my seat?
There's a story behind that.
Yeah, I bought a candy bar and
You don't eat chocolates.
It was a Nutrageous, which is outrageously delicious.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Reese's. Oh, it's so good. It's like all kinds of peanut butter, peanut, caramel.
Oh my gosh.
The chocolate's just holding it all together.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's good. You got to have an encasing.
And I was eating it on my long commute. Didn't notice a rather large piece of this chocolate casing fell down, perfectly slid into my seat, where I got up at one point and was like, either I need to run inside of the bathroom or that's chocolate.
Either way, it's quite embarrassing.
You wouldn't have known?
And I checked my pants and I was like, I'm so glad I didn't go anywhere. Because this looks like, oh no, what's wrong with this man? How did he do this? Yeah, so I look before I sit on anything.
Wow.
Don't you? Like if we're going to go have a meeting in our conference room in the station,
yeah,
you pull out
I'm
a chair.
not going to sit on a pile of books or something.
Yeah, you don't want to sit on a bug or dirt.
Yeah.
But it's daytime now.
Yeah, so it lights up all the time.
Yeah, imagine 2 hours before your normal wake-up time and nature calls, you're going to go in there and be like, yeah, let me flip on lights and get my eyes totally open and be totally awake.
He loves Dana so much. I love Dana too. The only exception to that toilet seat rule in my mind is Dana Eastwood. She can do whatever she wants.
Well, maybe, Ron, you could put a nightlight in the bathroom.
She is very light sensitive. She wouldn't want that.
No, that costs money. No, that's the reason is Ron doesn't want to buy it.
There's probably a penny a month going there.
Leanne.
You know who it reminds me of? The dad from Everybody Hates Chris.
Oh, I haven't seen that enough to know.
He knows
That's
the cost.
what Ron?
He knows the cost of everything. Yeah, very, very, very cheap.
First, you got to buy the light, then you got to plug it in.
Yeah,
and then you got to get new light bulbs.
Yeah.
Leanne texted in something I was just laughing about to myself, actually. I like Lauren's example of the sprayer on the sink faucet. So sometimes I use the spray part of the faucet, and then I just turn off the faucet. And so then it's stuck on spray, and then my husband will come, turn on the sink, and it sprays everywhere.
Erica is about to slap you.
Yes. And so my husband has, what's so funny to me, he'll go to the kitchen, and he'll turn on the sink, and it'll spray. It'll be like on the spray part. And he'll say to himself, who did this? Like, there's only one other person here.
Oh, well, the other two people in your house can't reach.
Who did this?
He says that out loud.
Who did this? Why would anyone do this?
Trey can't even reach it.
Yeah. Or why would anyone do this? It's only me. And I'll be like in the living room, like, it's only me. It's just me.
I mean,
you should just play along. Like, I don't know this crazy person in our house.
The house elves. Yeah. So that he prefers it for me to turn it off. Okay, fine. I'll turn it off. What doesn't do anything to me to turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there are people that exist, Eddie, where, like me, we have one of those sinks now, and I turn it on, and if it's on the sprayer, I just kind of go, I guess I'll push the button.
Yeah.
Or,
he
I
just
wanted
doesn't like
that.
it because it splashes back at him.
Well,
it can be very aggressive.
Yes, he's not expecting.
I agree with Eddie.
He's not expecting the spray to come splashing back on him.
Well, he could also not lean forward so far when he turns the sink on.
It's not like he's sticking his head in the sink. It's just sprays.
But what I'm saying, I'm to come full circle because Eddie listens right around now.
Yeah, you better be nice to him.
He has a preference.
Yes, that's his preference.
And you don't.
Yeah, I don't care.
So you're yielding to the preference.
Yeah, I do not care what the sink does to me. So, yeah.
Big scheme of things, he's not correct, but you love him.
If that's his preference, in his mind, he's correct. I don't care. So I'll turn off the sprayer.
I thought you were questioning the "but you love him" part.
Oh, no. No, I do.
What's default position in your house, Erica Kurcsak?
Definitely not the sprayer.
No sprayer.
I'll use the spray function, but I never leave it that way.
What about your fabulous husband, Nathan? Does he care?
He doesn't care. I don't know if he uses the spray function or not. We'll have to ask him that.
Yeah, we will have to ask him that. All right, hey, before we end here, we've got our Friday song.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
That was our Friday song. One of my favorite things is to say something wild to Lauren right before the show starts. Mm-hmm. And the mic turns back on because knowing she can't
This is the craziest thing you've ever said to me, actually, in your whole life.
Oh, look, we're out of time.
No, you said it's better to let poo spray from the toilet than to go outside without your shoes on.
That's the same to me.
I said, go outside without your shoes on. Fine. But let's close the toilet lid so poo particles don't get everywhere. And you said, no, don't go outside without your shoes on. You're kidding. Your gut microbiome is messed up.
No, I'm like Dwight Schrute.
Messed up.
I am so desanitized in some ways. Mm-hmm. My hands could perform surgery at any moment.
I don't know about that.
But the rest of me...
But you know what I do know about?
What?
We have a first-time texter.
Hey! We did it.
We got him with the toilet lid conversation. So
thank you for texting for the first time. We're going to send you something.
Yeah.
Because we love you. Erica Kurcsak, we love her too, from Maranatha Bible Church and Grace and Beauty. If people want to learn more about your home church and Grace and Beauty, how do they do that?
You can go to mbc95.org. It's a church website, and find the Women's Ministry tab. Or you can go to Grace and Beauty Ministries on Instagram.
And remember, say hello to your husband, Dr. Kurcsak.
I will.
He hates that, right?
I think it's when you call him Dr. Hottie. It makes him really uncomfortable.
Yes.
What's with you and calling our pastor friends hottie? That needs to stop.
No, I didn't say it all. She said it.
Yeah, but Dr. Kurcsak and Pastor Scott Lessing. Settle down.
No. Maureen Lessing calls him
You pick up
Scotty
on wives' nicknames and you're like, oh, I can use this. That's not how those names work.
That was never my nickname. Brian made up that nickname.
Yeah, that tracks.
Well, I assumed you called him
I mean, he is Dr. Hottie, but let's just leave it at that.
Okay, that's all I needed for the whole week. I got to go. We'll talk to you on Monday morning.
Helping you take